close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
Let me know if you can hear me. Put 5 in the comments, please.
Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create.
If I can get rid of that. I've just been reliably informed that Bootneck is live at the moment, which I didn't know. Otherwise, I'd have gone on at 8 o'clock, which I usually do. But I kind of figured that that the earlier I come on, the more chances are of people ringing in actually being sober. Not so annoying when you're half cut yourself, but when you're stone cold sober, it's a bit, right. Well, I hope you can all hear. I was wondering, I was thinking the numbers aren't going up like normal. I'm thinking, what the fuck's going on? Now, it could have been that awful fucking music. However, there is a reason for that awful music. The slightly less awful music that we used before was giving me, it says it's copyright free and all the rest of it. And then down the road, it goes, actually, we're going to give you a copyright strike, which seems to me a little bit shit. There you are. So I use something different. What will be the topic of the day? Well, it's kind of a bit of a thing, isn't it? Really, you've got GB News and everybody else talking about it. Keir Starmer, what's his fucking name? Nigel Farage, Elon Musk, the usual. So let me see if I can get this up, and we'll have a word from the man himself. And I don't know if you'll be able to see this. So a fresh-faced Rogan protector himself. I seriously do not know if you'll be able to hear this, but if you can't, I'll tell you what's been said. Let's go to that.
Taken was always, obviously knew about the investigation into Jimmy Savile, but I thought at that time that there simply wasn't the evidence, the testimony simply wasn't compelling. Also, Savile did have a great standing with people, and so the threshold for any action taken was always going to be higher, and some of the claims felt slightly frivolous. We felt the threshold wasn't met at that time.
So how many people in the end did Savile get said to have interfered with in one way or another? I think it was well over 300, wasn't it, or something, but it could have been off the charts. But when you got a bloke like that saying that he didn't see that there was a good enough case, when there was fucking people coming out the woodwork and had been complaining historically about it for years and years and years, you do have to ask yourself, is it because he's protecting one of his own, which obviously Savile being, obviously would have been a Mason, would have been this, that, and the other, high up in the BBC, got to protect the BBC, the British Brainwashing Corporation, that kind of thing, that maybe he actually knew about it and didn't give a fuck. Because at the end of the day, it's not as if that Savile was going out and interfering with the upper class, was it? He was fucking the plebs kids or the backward or whatever. So they sort of, from what I can see, in some cases, disassociate themselves. And it's funny because the people that come from sort of the middle classes and work their way up into this position are very quick to disassociate themselves with the past, where you can see some of the incredibly rich people who have been part of a rich family a lot of their life can actually have more empathy at times than these fucking idiots. But you've only got to look at Starmer to see that there's very little personality there. I mean, he would fit the category of sociopath. I would say there was little to no conscience there. The only thing that will upset him is his immediate family having something happen to them, or some sort of job offer taken away from him, or him being put, as he sees it, in a negative light. Now, don't forget, this bloke is surrounded by people telling him what a great job he's doing and how everybody loves him. You usually find that most prime ministers and people in high parts of the government will have people around them literally kissing their ass the whole time, purely for the reason of buoying them up and keeping them going, because they're serving a purpose. I don't know a great deal about Keir Starmer before he got to where he is, but yet again, he's a sir. Why he was a sir? Because I was said in the last live stream, there does seem to be a lot of people who are called sir or whatever, who have slightly dubious backgrounds and have certainly greased the right wheels, if you want. So that's the first part, old Keir Starmer. And where was I going to go to first? So you've got Farage. Some of you may have heard what Farage has said. If you haven't, this is the BBC. There is something else that was sent to me. I'm going to have a look on the bit that you sent to me in a minute. Actually, I'll go to that first because that might well be better. Give us a second. Right, hang on. There's a nice little meme here. Let me move that over. I'm trying to do too many things at once here. Let me see if I can show you that. Share screen. Window. There you go. It's a beautiful little meme. Charge people for rape and violent crime. Clearly not. Okay, charge people for social media posts and memes, because we've seen on the news the other day some bloke getting dragged out of his house by the police because of awful things he said. And then obviously there was the person with the police taking the stickers off their van because they had a gollywog on each side. A gollywog, I mean, most of us at a young age grew up with, if there were a load of teddies in the house, one of them would have been a gollywog, but clearly I would have been because I'm far right, obviously. So let me see if I can find that bit of Farage. Now, some people say that he's actually throwing, hang on a minute, I'll pause that, I'll go back, and I'll make it a bit bigger, if I can. Some people say that they think he was throwing Tommy under the bus, but I've had a look at it, and I have to say that he's not saying anything that isn't actually fact, which is not good for Tommy. But, you know, Tommy comes from a different background to Farage, all right? And Farage would never, ever see himself in any way in the same light as he would see Tommy, right? So, and at the moment, you know, I've got my opinion on them both, all right? But I go my own way.
He's very supportive of me. He's very supportive of the party.
I don't know if you can hear that.
He sees Robinson as one of these people that fought against the grooming gangs. But of course, the truth is Tommy Robinson's in prison, not for that, but for contempt of court for the third occasion. But I mean, equally, there are people in Britain who think that Robinson is a political prisoner. That's the narrative that he's pushed out. That's how he earns his living, but it isn't quite true.
Would you accept Robinson as a member of your party? You quit UKIP over the association with him last time.
Look, you know, Robinson has been to prison many, many times for many, many things. Mortgage fraud, passport problems, you name it. He's got his own campaign. We are a political party aiming to win.
Right, yeah, hang on a second. That one I can't turn up. Could you, just out of interest, if you can put it in the comments, the last bit of stuff that I played on, what's it called? On Twitter, X, did you all... Right, the sound's low. This is the thing. Let me see if I can come back to that and turn it up in any way. No, it's at full volume, so I can't do much with that. But basically, he's saying that that Tommy's in court for a different thing, and yes, he's trying to make himself look right by not wanting Tommy Robinson anywhere near like reform. And he understands that Tommy actually wants to be a part of reform. But anyway, I think the thing is that Tommy Robinson will never, ever get into there, because Farage is thinking of himself. He's thinking about the bigger picture. He's thinking about, will this be looked at in a negative connotation to the average person within the UK that doesn't actually realize the other side of what Tommy does? All right. Now, Tommy's got a negative side as well as a positive side. We all know that. That's, you know, it's nothing new. All right. And to be honest, if you look at most people, they've got one, haven't they? Right. So, yeah, somebody saying passport. Yes, Tommy tried to get into, I think, America, and there were some passport problems, whether he was using somebody else or something wrong with the passport. I do not know, but there was a passport problem, right? So that was one thing. And there has been some mortgage stuff. All right. That's public knowledge. All right. And that was in the early days, I believe. However, when you look at, say, for instance, part of his agreement when he was, well, not his, it wasn't his agreement, but when he got went to court, they said that you can't play certain stuff or you can't go to certain places or whatever it was, right? And he went against what they said. That's the long and the short of it. And they were looking for anything they could to do him again, because he's a menace to them. He brings forward and brings front and center the attention that, you know, you've got a group of individuals there which represent Islam, which are taking it upon themselves to go out and rape, molest, child traffic at will white girls and Sikh girls predominantly. Although I don't think that the list would stop there, but that's predominantly what they're going for. And in some parts of the country, you are 250% roughly more likely to be raped by an individual from that death cult, okay, than you are by anybody else. Now, the left come on board and say, Well, there's probably more white rapists in the UK than or child paedophiles in the UK than there are Muslim. And you would hope so because of what the population was. Okay. And they were saying this 10 years ago, or 8 years ago, or whatever it was. But a lot of these rapes go, or these, the allegations get brushed under the carpet. I mean, there was one case of a girl who'd been abducted by this group, had been taken around to above a shop. The father knew that the daughter was there. The police knew the daughter was there. The daughter was being, literally, they were taking it in turns. When the father went round to get his daughter back, the father was arrested and the daughter was left there. All right. Now, what sort of a world do we live in where that becomes the normal thing, where that's okay? Now, the police have used this excuse that they don't want to, A, come across as racist, and they don't want to inflame racial tensions. Now, the truth is, this is like taking care of a secondary problem rather than deal with the original problem. Now, as I said in the last live stream and many times before, there's all these different declarations that we've signed into that you have to paint Islam in a good light, not a bad light. What would it look like if you went across all of the mainstream media and wherever else, and you came out with the actual honest figures for how long and for where and how much that Islam or people from Islam have been going at the kids of Great Britain, and why? The other thing is predominantly why, and there's some people will come across, oh, well, it's a cultural thing. What, pedophilia? That's a cultural thing, is it? Now, this wouldn't be me. This would be, say, for instance, I would have said in the old days the left, but what after the other day's conversation, what we'll say is it's the wrong uns, the people that want the bad to happen in this country, the people that protect the bad. Okay, so they're not stereotypically left as such, although a lot of them are, right? They are just the wrong uns, because we've got them on the right as well. We've got people who I would have considered to be conservative that just, oh, I'll be dead soon, it doesn't matter, can you give us a shit, right? I'm all right, Jack. Wrong attitude, all right? And it's because of that attitude we're where we are. But this has been historically going on for so long, and there's people, and everybody's going to go and show up and point at Starmer here, but they have to also point at Labour. They have to point at Conservative. They have to point at Liberal Democrat. I mean, Liberal Democrats came out on TV and they were saying that Elon Musk has got his facts wrong, right? And if he wants to come and work with us, but that was the police actually who said that if he wanted to come work with us. But the thing is, at all levels of government, right, and opposition government or whatever, they're all singing the same tune. Now, we think they're different, but if anything was to prove the opposite, these people wait for a position to arrive and just go for that. They're not like brought up as a Conservative or a Labour. I thought that was the case, but it doesn't seem to be. And anybody who can walk from a complete opposite side of the room, so that's opposite principles, opposite political ideals, you know, and walk straight across and sit on the bench the other side and join them, that shows that they don't really have any allegiance to either side. It's a fucking job, isn't it? Or it's a position to get yourself in a position of power. But all of them, okay, have nonces within their political parties, people that they associate with. Now, I would have always predominantly thought that it was Conservative that had the biggest amount per capita of wrong-uns in it than Labour or Liberals, but it's not the case, actually. Liberals have quite a high amount, and Labour certainly do. Now, Jess Phillips, I believe, when there was a chance to ask for a public inquiry, knocked it back and said she wanted the locals to deal with it. Now, if I'm correct, and this was pointed out on a Tommy rally when they did a thing, I think it was about, is it Telford or Rotherham? I can't remember which one. I think it was probably Telford. We sat there, and it was the local council was massively made up from people within Islam, right? As were the police. And they thwarted any honest investigation. Leads weren't followed. Other stuff was choked up or covered up. And the truth of the matter is that they wanted it all to go away. But going back to what I was saying, if the population of this country had found this out, say, for instance, 50 years ago, say, for instance, it was happening 50 years back, but we had our culture. Mind you, I don't think it would have been allowed to have happened 50 years back. I think the average bloke would have found out what was going on and taken it into his own hands. Now, a lot of people say that rightly or wrongly, but I have my personal opinion on that, but I'm legally not allowed to say on here, so you can work it out for yourself. But in the old days, I do believe that the local community would have dealt with it. As, say, for instance, they did over in Northern Ireland in an Orange community, which I found out about. There was 6 people of the death cult, and they moved in and they started to look like they were going to get up to no good. So the wives all had to sit around with the other wives and say, right, we'll have a word with the men. Got the men involved and says, what are you going to do? Now, for legal reasons, I can't tell you what they were going to do, but it's as extreme as you could possibly get. All right? Think Northern Ireland, think back in the Troubles, think, you know what I mean, right? And literally the word went out what they were going to do, and these people disappeared. Now, I'm not saying that those means were A, legal, or B, justified, but that's how they dealt with it, and the problem went away. Now, if you look in places like, have you seen when they arrest them in places like Russia, march them down the street at gunpoint? What they deal with it differently. But what we usually do over here is put them in front of everybody else for benefits, housing, and all the rest of it. And anybody who says anything gets arrested for bigotry, racism, Islamophobia, that kind of stuff. But we're getting to the point where we're like, I don't care what name you put on us. It really doesn't make any difference. You know, you're boring. Fuck off. So let's see what else we've got a second, because that was Farage throwing Tommy under the bus. Where have I got to go back to the other thing now? So Elon Musk, what did he say? Oh my God. I've got to go back and forward here because I've got stuff that I've saved and stuff that I've got to go back to. Righty. We've seen, I think, that one where it says, Farage distanced himself from Musk on Robinson. But I think you've seen that clip anyway. But for those who couldn't hear it, Reform UK leader Nigel Farage has distanced himself from Elon Musk's support for jailed far-right activists. Here we go, because this is BBC, isn't it? Yeah, there you are then. Far-right activist Stephen Yaxley-Lennon, also known as Tommy Robinson. Fucking hell. The tech multi-billionaire who, actually, if I was listening to another news aggregator, said he was the richest man in the world. Never talk about the Rothschilds, because you don't really want to talk about that, or the Rockefellers, or anything else. Right. Anyway, so the tech billionaire added his voice to calls to release Yaxley-Lennon, who was jailed in October after admitting contempt of court by repeating false claims against a Syrian refugee. Farage has been proud to show off the support of Musk, because Farage will always want to be involved with somebody who has a far lot more power than he does. And that's my mate, like he did with Trump, because that's the way they are. However, when somebody starts championing something that you don't believe in, I can imagine it. I'd love to have been a fly on the wall when somebody goes, you know, your mate, right? You know what he's saying about Tommy Robinson. I'd have loved seeing Farage's face, because Farage sees anybody who supports people like Tommy Robinson and that kind of stuff as racists, bigots, that kind of stuff. Which, to be honest, these are the people that your bread and butter, mate. These are the people that pay their bits into your political organization and help fund and stuff like this. These are the people that are going to go out and tell everybody to vote for you. These are the people that are going to go out and hand out leaflets for you. The same people that are going to actually put you to somewhere where you want to be. But yeah, they're all racist and bigots. So they are. So anyway, Farage has been proud to show off his support of Musk, flying to Florida to meet the owner on social media X site who helped President-elect Donald Trump win the US election. Also, I believe he's moved into somewhere in Mar-a-Lago or whatever the fuck it is. He's got somewhere he's renting out there. So he's literally right next to old Trump. This will be interesting. Now, I know they're all part of the system and all the rest of it, right? They're all fucking, part of the thing. But it'll be interesting to see if they don't achieve anything, what their excuses will be for that, given the fact that they have so much power, more than they did the last time, right? So anyway, but Musk's support of Yaxley Lennon is uncomfortable for Farage, I bet it is, who has made it clear over a number of years that he does not want him in his political party, and he does reiterate that every fucking time asked. Speaking to Reform's UK East Midlands conference in Leicester on Friday, Farage said Musk had a whole range of opinions, some of which I agree with very, very strongly, and others of which I'm more reticent about. Okay, nevertheless, Farage describes Musk as a remarkable new entrant into American politics, but also it should be noted that Farage is aware that Musk may well chuck that party a load of money because he wants to. And if that does, that would take them in definitely a much more powerful direction. However, do you bite the hand that feeds you? So he's kind of over a barrel here because he either doesn't say too much to Musk for fear of offending him and the money might not flow because you know what they're like, or he's got to go over there, kiss his ass, and then tell him just how bad this Yaxley Lennon business is all about and how it could damage his career or whatever, which I think would matter to Musk about as much as, I don't know, dumping the last girlfriend and then invoicing her for all the shit he just bought for her, which is actually one of his policies if you listen to him. But anyway, with Musk said he is to be minded to give Reform UK a sizable donation. Farage believes he remains very helpful in the party's cause. So that's pretty much that. Well, there's probably a lot more to it, but there you go. Fuck me, we're at 7:19. I'm really hoping that we haven't taken anybody away from any other stream because I don't want to tread on any toes there. Right, so that's that little bit. Okay, I'll read the other bit here. Yes, I agree. Reform UK would launch grooming gangs inquiry if elected, the chairman says. That's an interesting concept, isn't it? I'll show you the picture before I do. I wonder. You're probably all knowing what's going through my head right now when I look at that man and think, I wonder what his allegiances are, etc., etc., etc. Anyway, so allegedly they would launch a inquiry. Would it be a legit inquiry? Would it be a cover-up? Because I've looked into inquiries back in the day. Take, for instance, I always use Northern Ireland as an example, but there was the Bloody Sunday inquiry, which has gone on and on and on and on. And it's cost the most expensive inquiry, or one of the most expensive inquiries in history. And it still never pointed out the fact that Martin McGuinness was out there with a fucking Tommy gun. But Ayo don't want to do that because he's now part of the peace process. So I'm dubious about some of these inquiries. All right. There have been many in the past and many have fallen short. But if a public inquiry could actually at least bring it out into the open that, yes, they were doing this. Yes, they are bad news when they are in a group. And yes, mass immigration from Islam has been completely detrimental. I was watching something else. Robert Kilroy Silk. Now, anybody remember that name? Now, he went on, I think it was Never Mind the Buzzcocks, and literally everybody else on there lambasted him because he was trying to say, what has the Arab world done in the last 400 years that was duly notable, right? In so much as inventions, that kind of stuff. Well, fuck me, they lost their shit on that, right? And they just went after him because they were all fucking raging lefties. And it seems that even back in the day, go back 20 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever it is, there was always, this guest is going to come on. We like him. Have the laugh with him. This one's come on. He said bad stuff about immigration, bad stuff about Islam, bad stuff about this. Fucking ruin him. As they did with Nick from BNP, as they have with Farage when he went on, and they picked the audience as well. But going back to this, Reform would launch an inquiry. Ziar Youssef, beautiful British name. Okay. Chairman of Reform UK, speaking during the Reform UK East England Conference at Chelmsford City Racecourse. Do you know, all we need is somebody from the lumps of wood in there, and it's fucking done, isn't it? We're completely controlled. Reform UK would launch an independent inquiry into grooming gangs if elected into power, its chairman has said. Having said that, this is something we haven't thought about, right? If you remember when UKIP started, it was slow going and then it built in power. When it actually got to a position of being quite powerful, and it looked like Farage could have actually won elections and done stuff like that, it all went to shit. Would he do the same? Because this is becoming the monster that UKIP did, all right? Unless now this is so controlled that this could get into power. And yet again, because you listen to, they're all kicking off at the moment. They're all saying, Starmer has said he'll do this. And he hasn't done anything like that since he's got in. Sips water. And people are surprised. And I'm shocked that they're surprised. And this is a purely Keir Starmer thing, or this is a Labour thing. No, it's not. It's politics forever. You look all over around the world, right? You tell me a politician, right, that's got into power under whatever thing he said he was going to do. Now, if it was something a bit spicy, like immigration, like putting its indigenous people first, or anything like that, they never do it. They say they're going to do it, but then they come up with all these reasons why they didn't. And in the meantime, you've lost another 5 years and immigration's still building. Do you think, we'll do one in the comments or two in the comments. Do you think that, say, for instance, reform, okay, if it got into a position of power, would be any more effective at shutting the gates and stopping immigration than anybody before? Be honest. One, if you think they would, like, so yes. Actually, we'll just put yes or no, right? So if you think reform would achieve anywhere more than all the others, put yes. If you don't, put no or two. No, fuck reform. Okay, God bless the UK. Beautiful. God bless is slightly more forthcoming in his opinion of that one there. There does seem to be a lot of you very much awake here, all right? I'm not patronizing, I'm just saying, right? And there are some of you that are living in hope, I think. But, yeah, I mean, fuck me, I'd like to be wrong. I think we all would, right? But it says here, it comes after Elon Musk attacked the UK government over the issue, saying the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, failed to bring rape gangs to justice when he was the Director of Public Prosecutions. And this does not surprise me. Remember what I said about you've got to put Islam first and can't paint it in a bad light. Also, you want to achieve the vote of the Muslims because the Muslims vote en bloc. So I go after them and paint them in a bad light, right? I mean, it's only little fucking plebs, white girls that have been raped. It's nothing to do with us. It's not as if it's any of my mates. So who gives a fuck? These are kids off the council estates. These are kids from the poor areas. These are kids that have decided to have the audacity to go out late at night. Well, why shouldn't you ply them with alcohol and use them as a sexual object? I mean, that's what they're there for, right? Oh, sorry, I'm just talking about. And this is how a lot of these rich wankers see us and our kids. Just so you know. I mean, what was it that politician the other day, right? He was hearing about these old people not putting the heating on because they couldn't afford it. He said, "I'll just put the heating on." Oh yeah, who's going to pay their bill, cunt? You. So anyway, the party leader Nigel Farage said a full and open national inquiry was needed so that everyone in the country knows the truth. I agree. And understands that mass open-door immigration without assimilation is a disaster. This is a thought that's just popped into my mind, as it does. I'm very good at digressing, so I hope you're all keeping up. Do I digress too much is the question. One, if you think I do, or two, if you're keeping up. Anyway, right. Where was I? Yes. Do you think that they're all saying this stuff now rather than actually saying it years ago because they now know that things are so fucked that it's not reversible, so they can now talk about it because Operation fucking anti-white is smashing on like a fucking steam train that can't be stopped, all right? and that they can say what they like now because the end is going to be what they always thought it was. Hello, Banksy. What do you think? I know I think. I might get Banksy on later if he's about. Let me know, Banks, because obviously there's a few topics in here that we can talk about. Yeah, she's got your number, hasn't she, Banksy? Evening travel. So this is it. I was always wondering why they've got round to saying it now. I mean, surely this has come across your mind as well. Why is it now they're fucking finally talking about it? I mean, it makes us, or exonerates us, I suppose, doesn't it? I mean, when you look at it, BNP were talking about this 30 years ago, and everybody just thought they were racist, bigoted, hateful bastards that just hate because of the color of the skin. And there would be some in there that do, obviously. But look at the Labour Party, and you'll see that there's a load of anti-white rhetoric from a lot of black and Asian, Muslim, Indian, whatever you want to call them, men and women, who actually really fucking don't like us. And they're at a level of arrogance now because they're in a position of power, and also because they see their own ethnicities percentage within the population rising, and then they're starting to feel that they are now able to be as blunt and as bigoted as they are, right, openly, and nobody will ever touch them, even in Annie. So yeah, is this why? Right, because BBC would have never have touched the topic of immigration and what that actually has to do with, say, for instance, child rape, grooming gangs, that kind of stuff. You didn't ever want to touch it. And all I could think now is that because they are all talking about it, they realise that they can talk about it because nothing can be done. And the only way you would ever reverse is through the most extreme policies. That's the best way of putting it. Right, hang on a second. We have a call, so I'll see if I can link it in. Might work, might not. Bear with. No, that ain't going to work yet. Sorry. Is it connected? That is the question. Connect, search for audio devices. I love it. It does this every fucking time. Right. I should, allegedly, now be connected. And we're at 791 viewers. Listening to a middle-aged, rambling, racist, bigoted, homophobic, xenophobic, absolute scumbucket. Also just a standard traditional white male. Hello.
Hello, let me just turn television down.
Excellent, excellent.
It's me again. I phoned up the other day.
Well done. How are you?
Yeah, the bravery's picking up bit by bit.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm good.
It ain't so hard, is it?
No, once you've done it once, it's just 10 times harder the second time and 30 times harder the fourth time.
Yeah. So,
no, good. Yeah.
What are you thinking?
A couple of points.
Go on.
The reform. Right, I haven't trusted Farage, Tice right from the outset. I think they're both opportunists. Mm-hmm. I think Farage particularly. And I just worry that I suppose the question I'm going to ask is the 2030 agenda. Mm-hmm. How real is this agenda? How real does anybody out there think that is? Are we hurtling towards a 2030 agenda?
Right. And when you say the 2030 agenda, there's a few things at 2030. We've all got to be running around in bloody electric cars, so that's one of them. Right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Or is this that by the time we get to 2030, the demographics would have changed so dramatically that, they're going to start block voting, and maybe they might each actually be able to change the way politics is done in this country?
Well, I think it's the digital ID that will be trapped. They'll crash the economy. They'll bring in the digital currency. All these things that we fear most of. To
be honest, is we're not far off this, right? When you look at it now, right? Yeah. I mean, you see all these people. They go up to the shop and they put their phone up against the scanny thing, right?
Yeah.
Me personally, I use my card, right? Now, I'm as guilty as the next, only for the fact that it is a lot of places just won't take your cash. All right. And I lived in a village where there was three banks. They're all closed. They're all gone. There's one cash point, right? If it's working. And it runs out of money. So the only way of other guys getting money back is one of the shops here will give you cash back, but you've got to buy something. But everybody uses the card. Now, the card will trace you anyway, where you've been. And the card has a chip on it that gives a load of details about you. You can't drive a vehicle now without a license. That license has fuck knows how many details on it. So, and you can't do anything without proving who you are already in this country, can you?
No, you can't. But I suppose what I'm getting at is that this is going to be a whole new level. We all know what's coming. This is going to be a whole new level. We know we're being surveilled. Outside of China, apparently we're the most surveilled country in the world. You've got the, what do you call it?
Recognition
system.
Yeah.
Everything.
Facial recognition, retina recognition, all that kind of shit. Yeah.
And it's hovering where they're making us accept it on the basis of it's for our own good, against terrorism, about this, that, and the other, and drug use and all this, whatever it is they're selling it to us as. But we know this is just hovering to be the ultimate outcome of total control.
Yeah.
And I worry that people like Farage, who come in with a party, all they're doing is stalling what we know is coming, which is pop.
Yeah, basically, people like Farage are meant to offer us hope. If we had no hope, right, then we do something amongst ourselves. That's the last thing they want. So they'll put people out there to suck up your interest, to give you some hope, and stop you doing anything. You think about it, I've been doing this stuff for the last 10 years, right? And the changes I've seen in the 10 years and the people that have come and gone. But because there's always been somebody that gave us some sort of hope, we all sat on our ass and went, he'll fix it. And, it hasn't happened. And we're now 10 years ahead. Right, where we know about all of this rapist stuff and all the rest of it, and we haven't done a great deal. I mean, our forefathers would have gone out and sorted it out, but we are not like that, right? Our forefathers didn't have to worry about cameras. They didn't have to worry about DNA. They didn't have to worry about a lot of stuff, so that people could take the law into their own hands and not get caught. You will now, right? So if you go out and do this, you will expect a knock at the door.
Yeah.
We are. I mean, don't forget, London was the most cameraed up city in the world, I believe. And that did beat anywhere else, China, whatever. The thing is, what they'll do is they'll keep offering us this ID and stuff like this as it's in our interest, in so much as, if you think about it, you build a computer system, right? And then what you do is you make viruses for that computer. Then you sell the antivirus. And then you can also, if you're very clever, get into medicine to do that. But that's another story. We covered that the other day. However, what you do is you make online banking and you make online shopping. And then what you do is you bring out a brand of people that start ripping people off and taking their money away from them. At which point, you then offer the thing you wanted to offer in the first place and say, this will stop this happening. And people go, do you know what? I love that. So there's a name for it, problem or solution, whatever. I can't remember. I never get that one right, but it's anyway, they create the problem and then they give you the solution that they wanted you to take in the first place. So this digital ID, the same people that didn't want to talk about the rape gangs, the same people that didn't want to leave the European Union because they could get across there for £2 cheaper a year or whatever it was, right? The same people that didn't want to look at who's behind banking, the same people that don't actually want to talk about anything because it's not my problem, are the ones en masse that will take all of this and say nothing. Now, these are the same people that will also blame you or me when they realize that what they've done was terrible and these people have them by the balls. They're losing all their assets. They're losing the house that they've worked all their life for. The money that they saved up to share to their kids will be hit by over 50% tax, which the kids will have to come up with first before they can have it, same as the house. And when all this has happened, they'll look at all of us people who they used to look down on and fucking laugh at, who were all fucking tinfoilers, and say, why didn't you tell me? At which point, I would imagine the people they say it to will lose their temper and these people will get some reality. However, and that's where we are. But yes, the digital ID is as much a threat as anything else. You think about it. With the digital ID and no cash in the system, at which point can you prove that you ever had any money if they just press a button and wipe all of your shit off file?
Yeah.
So we're fucked, right? That's one problem. But at the same point, if you can't draw your money out and use it, your money is only as effective as they want it to be. Now, they can also put a timer on your money. Now, a lot of people think this is a joke. Yeah. But if you think about it, if they say, well, these wages that you've earned, this 600 quid that you've earned over this period, right? This money, you either have to use it or lose it.
Yeah.
Now that's got numerous problems. You can never put money by to get yourself out of a problem. So if something came along, you then have to sell something there and then to pay for it, right? Rather than actually have the money in the bank to fix it, right? So this is another way that they asset strip you, right? You've got a house. Oh, this is rented, but you've got a house, and you're not allowed any savings in the bank, but you're getting along with the weekly income. You can pay the bills and all the rest of it. Then the roof needs doing. All right, you can't do it. You've then got to remortgage this house again, which the banks will let you do, by the way. And you keep remortgaging it until you've got literally no equity. So you've got nothing to pass on to the kids. Or when they bring in this green bullshit, right? And they say, well, your house now, oh, by the way, you've got no savings in the bank, but your house now doesn't go along with what we are.
It doesn't meet. Yeah, it doesn't meet the criteria.
So what we're going to do is we're going to fine you £100 a week. Okay. Until you fix it. I don't know how you're going to fix it. They'll be this smug. I don't know how you're going to fix it without any money. You could take a loan from the government, and this is the interest that you've got to pay back. Or you could sell your house back to the government, which means you can live in it till you die. All right. No problem at all. And
so basically that equates basically to we're going to have it, or alternatively we're going to have it.
That's exactly it. And that's where it's going now, right? And so many of these people who are going out there, they're buying houses, they have no idea what's coming, all right? And some of them go, I like an older building. Yeah, great, okay. But that older building to bring round to the spec that they want will cost you 100,000 minimum, maybe more, and you don't have that money. And there will be banks that sometimes work out that actually we're not going to lend you the money for this because we actually want to seize that property more than we want to seize, say, for instance, a newer property.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of new houses that have been built. When you see the way they're being built, right, because I watch it because where I work, there's so much that's going into them, right, that while you're building a house doesn't take as much to do. Oops, we lost the call. I don't know what happened there, unless he got bored. But anyway, there's so much more that goes into it that you won't be able to do with an older house, which, what they're going to do then? That might be him.
Hello, I lost you there. I don't know what happened.
You did. I was talking away and it went, boom. Oh, well, have I bored him? There's no worries at all. But yeah, so either way, right, it says, Rev, I've got a house sold from under me. All of the assets were frozen, 250 grand. They are. So we've got the digital ID. We've got all of our assets and wealth and property is trying to be seized by the state, right? Not just that, while we're worrying about that, we've got Islam trying to conquer us.
Yeah, digital currency as well. Yeah.
I mean, this would be an interesting one, and we'll ask the people. What's more of a worry to you, Islam conquering us or the government asset stripping you? Now, I'd imagine a lot of people that watch me have probably got a similar amount of assets to me. Fuck all, right?
Yeah, but that's the best way to be, though, isn't it?
Yeah. So
they can't take off you if you ain't got it.
Has Rev ever done super chats? No. The reason being is I don't live stream to just this. I live stream to a load of other things, so it wouldn't work. And also, you'll notice that I haven't, what do you call it? Tick the box to make sure I can earn any money off this. So yeah. Hang on a minute. I'm being messaged. Where am I being messaged? This is getting complicated. Okay. Yeah.
Let me just, I've got one more point to make.
Yeah.
I hope I've sparked a bit of thought process, like, with you in the chat and that. But Now, this is controversial, and I know people have many different opinions about it, but I can't help but think that at some point in the near future, Tommy is going to be a success. I don't know. My gut is telling me that of all the stuff he's going through and all this sort of stuff, he's going to make something. He's going to do something.
I'll be honest with you. If he started to make a success, something bad had happened.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's going to. He's going to be the phoenix rising out of the ashes. I think that's just my personal opinion.
Their biggest problem with him is not making a martyr out of him. They don't want to, which is why. Yeah. I mean, he's saying that the government have put him into solitary confinement, right? They may well have done. They may well want to affect his mental health, but they also may realize that the moment he gets into genuine or main population, he's a marked man. There's a load of, because Islam runs the jails, right?
Yep.
And if he was in a major population, they would do all, or try to do all sorts of things to him. I mean, what gangs did with gangs over there is you get a kettle, they boil it, they put sugar in it, they horse it over whoever, and they maim them, or they stab them up, or they do all sorts of fucking shit, right?
Yeah.
You do not want that happening to him. He doesn't want it happening. His family don't want it happening. Everybody else doesn't want it happening. And the government don't want to make him a martyr, right? So that might be the reason they're leaving him in solitary. And to be honest, if I was him, I'd want to be in solitary. I would not want to be in the major population with his reputation, because there's fucking so many from the religion of hate that would literally, they'd be martyred for taking a swing at that fucker. So, you know, there it is. But so I mean, this is the question. When the time comes, will reform collapse like everything else that fucking Farage has touched when you needed him most?
Oh, I think it will. I think it's just a facade. I think they're just stalling. They're stalling the people's reaction by, like you were saying earlier, about creating an alleged solution or a change. There's going to be no change. I can't see a change coming. Not with the current system.
No. Well, the change is only allowed if it suits the system, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Exactly that.
And the only time they've ever changed anything is through, unfortunately, my fucking nose is starting to itch now, violent revolt. Now, I'm not saying anybody should do violence, by the way. 1 second. Fucking hell. Don't get old. Don't get grey hair up your nose, kids. It's a trap. Yeah. No, we won't be able to vote ourselves out of this. All right.
No.
I mean, don't forget they changed the voting system, didn't they? So to make sure that you'd only have a two-party would ever win and both parties are controlled. So what they have to do now is make sure that enough of the people within reform are suitably blackmailed or bribed or corrupt or whatever, or paid up, so that if reform ever made it into power, that they would just go along like it was before, blagging us all, making us all believe that they're all going to change and things are going to look different and we've got a brand new party in there and all the rest of it. And then you find out that actually it's bollocks.
It is all bollocks. I mean, the thing is, it doesn't matter how clever the people get. It's going to be a case of they will always have the edge and be cleverer. They've got the clout, the money, the weapons, the military, all that sort of stuff. And I just think we're up against it. We know we're up against it. It's just a matter of time. And when it goes pop, what we all do about it.
You think all of these mainstream media and social media and stuff like that, the social media is now, they've got algorithms to make sure that things are pushed forward that they want and things that are buried that they don't. If you think about how well I used to do in the early days before the algorithms were the way they were, I'd be gaining 2,000 subs a week, maybe more, and I only had 10,000 subs, right? Which is a lot, but, you know, compared to what I've got now. And it's just different, and everything's different now. So that if you, they can lock you up for things that, I mean, you've got people out there at the moment that avoid prison for all sorts of stuff that really, really should have gone down, and the people that go down for things that are nowhere near as serious. So you have to look at the legal system's control. BBC, ITV, all the rest of it, and everybody thought GB News was going to be the next best thing, but anybody who's properly right-wing, they fucked off.
Yeah.
So they've got everything. The only thing they won't be able to take is the will of the people, which isn't very strong at the moment, might I add. because
I think it's definitely growing. It's definitely growing. I think it's the people. I saw a video earlier of what's his name, the ex-footballer, the Portsmouth guy, Matt Lettice, is it Matt Letizia?
I think it's Letizia. I'm not a football supporter, so I do recognise that name, Letizia.
And he was saying that when he started sort of speaking out about the medical intervention thingy, back in 2020, 21, 95% of what he was hearing was having a go at him. It was all negative. What he was saying, he's an idiot, and he's now saying that all the people that he knows now and the people that are following him is now turned the other way. It's 95% are saying you're right. This is that. So it is turning. It's just where we take it. It's who's going to take us there.
It's one of the most frustrating things. If you were people that were actually had the guts to say what you thought, rather than keep it to yourself because you didn't want you were worried about the outcome, you were very bullied. I mean, these weak people are very good at getting together and on group bullying you, or they're very good online bullying you, or they're very good at shadow banning you from whatever. The amount of fans I lost when I started talking about this, all of a sudden they all started coming out and go, "You're a fucking racist, you are." And I'm like, "No, I'm not." And I got so bored of trying to defend myself about A, not being a racist, B, not being like anti-vax for the sake of being anti-vax. And everything else. When you talk about what goes on, and so many people were so quick to attack you, and it's like, well, actually, now they're all coming back and they're saying, "I'm sorry." Well, they don't actually say I'm sorry because that's really too much, but they're coming back and they're going, yeah, you're right. But they don't actually say in front of anybody else you're right, and they'll come and take you aside because they're still embarrassed. And you're like, fuck's sake. Yeah. But anyway.
It's a tough one. What was I going to say? I was going to say something else there, but it slipped my mind. Oh, it's things like I think what's happening is a lot in the small chat that we're having. So I'm hearing a lot of people say, "My memory's shit. I can't recall this. I can't remember that." But we're all dismissing it like it's oh well, that is what it is. I think there's more to it than that.
What, brain fog?
Because we can't. Yeah, brain fog. But remembering things, we can't fully focus on anything. And I'm not saying it's like to do with social media. I'm saying there's something going on, but we're all dismissing it as something small. When in actual fact, I think it's a lot bigger than we think it is.
Well, I'll put your mind at rest, actually. Before you start going for it's what they're sticking in the water or it's what they're sticking in the food, think about this. Our parents weren't dealing with the massive amount of overload of information that we get on the web, that we get in social media, that we get within our daily jobs, working on computers or whatever it is, right? They would have read the paper, they'd have talked to friends, and they'd have done their job. Whatever their job was, okay? What we're dealing with now on a daily basis is absolute information overload. And I talked about it in the last stream, and there is a point to this. You'll take so much information in that it will become too much for you, and then you pull back and just become passive. That's the whole point of overload.
Or depressed.
Or depressed. The MK Ultra thing I was talking about the other day, I think I was talking about it on here. One of their main ways of brainwashing people is putting the same story out over and over again, okay, hitting you from multiple angles, so TV, radio, that kind of thing. But we are susceptible. But if we have, say, for instance, if you looked and there was only 3 channels to watch on TV, right? And if you watched, there would be only one news aggregator, you wouldn't feel so overwhelmed. But you can go on here onto the say, for instance, Google or whatever, and you can type in, and there's probably trillions of stories or of different things. Okay. The interesting concept is if you look up, say, for instance, rape gangs or something like that on Google, it will say there's 300 and something thousand pages, for instance, right? That you can look at. But when you actually go to look at it, you can only see a certain amount. They won't let you see all the rest of them.
Yeah, and only let you see what they want you to see.
Yeah. But you're dealing with today, I mean, how many times have you looked at your phone?
What, in a day?
Yeah.
Twice. No, no kidding. Loads of times, ridiculous amounts of times, even to the point where I don't even know, It'd be interesting stat for myself actually to figure out how many times I do look at my phone.
So you know when you were sat in the lounge and you got up out the lounge and you went to make a brew, did you take your phone with you? What I'm saying here is that phone has become an extended part of our hand, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And first thing you'll do in the morning when you wake up is look at the phone because you'll check the time, and that's a bullshit reason you give it, but actually you're having a quick look to see what everybody else is doing while you have before you get out of bed and freeze to death, right?
Yeah.
So the phone is all part of the plan. All right.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
So, but if we didn't have, I mean, what have I got here at the moment? I've got 4 screens that I've got to look at. All this crap here, the information going on in the chat. I've got a different chat over here where they're monitoring what's going on in the chat. And if there was anything bad, they point it out to me, or they would say, this is a story about that, or whatever. They're my mates on Discord. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm monitoring that. I'm talking to you. And I've got the phone over there, which I keep looking at, which I shouldn't be because I'm fucking live. We're all conditioned. But yes, there is stuff in the water, and some of you might be able to help me with this one, right? You know, when you shower, you look between the tiles; they're not black. Sometimes it goes like a pinky orangey, right? And you have to get the bleach out, right, and clean it all off. And you know those bits, the sunken bits on the bath, right, where the soap used to go. If the water pools there for any amount of time and you don't scrub it off because we got really hard water around here, so literally it'll turn to fucking what they call it, limescale, pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
But it ends up being a more pinky color, and I'm like, what the fuck is in that water to make it do that?
Yeah.
Weird, but
it's worrying. It's. I think it's a good job we don't know what's going on inside. We know what they tell us. We know what we can, what you read and that. But we don't truly know, do we? I mean, the measure of human society, how it's being affected by the outside world or what they give us.
So
our health.
That pink's a bacteria, apparently. So the lads are saying in the chat, right now. So that bacteria is in the water. I'm assuming, right? Now that might be their reason for saying that we need to put stuff in the water to kill all the germs. Because you ever seen when they cut through one of those really old pipes? There's some fucking minging shit in there.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking,
like pulling the trap off your sink. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking to myself that maybe there does need to be some stuff in the water, but to the level, what level? I mean, if you look at the level of estrogen in our water now, fuck knows. So we live in a different world now, but with all the different like foods that we have that are full of chemicals and the water we have that's full of chemicals, and we've got the phone that's given us millions of different fucking things a day and flashing here and that and the other, we're up against it. So if you don't remember stuff, there's nothing wrong with you. That's the way it is. Well, that's the way I see it.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll let someone else come on.
No worries, mate.
It's always good to chat, and I'll catch up with you again soon.
All right, buddy. Take it steady.
Yeah, cheers. Bye now.
See you, mate. Right, my phone's going beep, 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 beep. See, the bastards are doing it to me now already. Hang on. Your answer to the orange stuff on the tiles, it's your men's body fat coming out of your body as you wash. I had to do a Ecolab course. We had to cover that subject. Well, that's gross. Fuck it. I am now... Thank God for the call. Oh, my God, I feel scum. Fuck it. Right, hang on. Yeah, if you could turn down the live stream, that would be great.
Already done. Right, you're saying about, obviously, which is true, about these government, don't matter who we vote for, da-da-da-da-da.
Yep.
Can't we just make it basically like, if they don't do what they, basically, if you don't do what you're told, and if they don't do what they're saying they're going to do, right, we can kick you out.
Right, now think about this, because that's a great idea. What you should do is say, if you don't do what you said you did, you lose half your wages. Having said that, they get paid through back doors anyway, if you know what I mean. But they have to vote that in. Can you see them voting that in? Because you can't make any laws without it going through there and the Lords first. So it's like asking a dog, right, to tell itself off. It's just, I can't see it being done. And apparently, by the way, everybody, it's snowing in Wales. I'm going to have a look out the window in a minute because, Wales is only Where the fuck is that? North that way. That way. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
But that's the way
I've never
I
known.
was looking at it.
Yeah, you're right. Because I mean, what business do you know where they say, "Well, actually, we promise to do this," and yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've got fucking like somebody in to clear the drains, right? We're going to do a great job of clearing your drains, and they lift up the manhole. That's full of shit. Stare at it for 5 years, put it back down, and say, "They are. Give us your money." So yeah. I think it's the only thing that I've ever known that people put up with and still pay their taxes and do everything.
But you saying earlier on about nobody, obviously from the governments, not this country, but in all of them, don't deliver on what they say. There's only one thing that I don't think he delivered on, but the rest of it I think he did, and that's Trump.
Snowing on the Mendip Hills.
To work. He got more people back to work. He got the environment back together for America.
Mm.
The only thing he didn't do was build the wall.
I mean, he would have done. I truly believe he would have done a lot more had he had control of the Senate and the other things, because they had all control of that and it was fun. But I still think he's part of the thing. But I still also believe that this bread and circus we go through,
yes,
we have to all these people saying it's snowing here, it's snowing here. They're doing a massive circle. All right, and I'm going to look out the window in a second. But he even if he is part of the system, I truly believe that what they have to do is occasionally look to be seen to be pushing back to keep the right happy for a while, and then the next people get in and fuck all that a lot. Stay where you are. Just don't go 2 seconds. Fuck's sake. It never fucking snows here. That's bollocks.
That's like where I live. Whereabouts are you?
I am near Weston-super-Mare.
Right, okay. So you're not too far from me then.
1 second. Does anybody want to see what Big Dave looks like? If they do, put one in the comments. To be honest, it's a few weeks, or is it a matter of days before Trump gets in? This I really want to see.
16 days. 16 days and counting.
So,
not that I am counting. Not that I am counting, obviously. But
not much. Let me see if I can change.
I've upset all my neighbours that live near me. They're not very happy with me at the moment. I haven't had a letter yet, or the police haven't knocked my front door yet. But I've got an American flag hanging outside the back door, outside the back garden, flying quite highly.
No, I'll tell you what, you might be all right with that, but stick the General Lee up and see what happens there.
Yeah, well, my neighbour opposite, he's got a Union Jack flag, and he said, well, I haven't had no complaints yet. Have you? I went, no, not yet.
Mm.
So yeah, but I was expecting a knock at the front door, like, you can have to take that down.
Yeah.
But, but it'd be interesting. It's a bit like what you...
Go on,
sorry.
No, you crack.
It's a bit like what you were saying about the money. Now, obviously, I'm only 37, nearly 38. I'm going to be inheriting an awful lot of money because the witch, who I call the witch, my nan, is 104. So when she finally does peg it, which, to be fair, keeps counting. Anyway, I'm going to be obviously inheriting a heck of a lot of money. Now, obviously, I want to put that into different properties. But if you're saying that they're going to try and stop this, then what my plan was isn't going to work.
That's what I see. Now, a lot of people will tell you that he doesn't know what he's talking about. But the whole point is you'll have nothing and be happy. How do you think they're going to achieve that?
Yeah.
By the way, 2 seconds, don't go anywhere. I'm just going to stand next to Dave so people get just some idea of how big that fucker is. So you, a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that.
That's right, mate.
People were going, how big?
Yeah, I mean,
go on.
That's how I'm looking at it, because obviously obviously my family have all said, put money back in the property, you can never lose out on it.
That was always the way, wasn't it? In the old days. You know what I mean? But
so that's what, I mean, my best mate, he's got a property in London and also in the Midlands. I mean, he's well off anyway because he's of his job, but so he's obviously got the foundations for his kids. But he said to me as well, like, to put it in a property, but he's finding obviously the right area or anything else.
See, the thing is, if they can do all this green stuff with like a building, I'm wondering about land. I mean, what would they expect you to do to land? Because, I mean, otherwise, if you need to invest in something, I would have thought maybe land might be a better idea. But I'm not that way. And people say, get precious metals and stuff like this, but I don't know. I really don't. I don't know what to do.
But it's also, I mean, you obviously drive for a living. Obviously, I don't drive at all. All I've got is a push bike, which is electric. That's not because I'm saving the fucking planet. It's just because I'm lazy. And just slap it on.
I don't blame you, mate.
Minutes. So I'm getting old and lazy. But they were about all this, just stop the oil and all that lot. Now, this country isn't that big. Why are we doing it? Why can't China do it? Why can't Russia do it? Why isn't America doing it more?
Because they're not want to. Stupid.
Exactly, because they don't want to.
Exactly.
So, I mean, instead of us doing it, why not get them to do it?
They said that the CO2 or whatever it is down to such a level now that if it got any worse, it would be deadly to plants and stuff, right? Because plants need it to live, eat, and whatever. That's why having things like Dave and Trev. Now, I don't know if any of you remember Trev, but Trev was about that big when I got him, tiny little stalk, and Trev's now right up near the top of the window. Now, in a bit, I probably could show you. But he's fucking huge. And they live on, obviously, sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide. That's it. I do not give these plants anything else but water. And that's water out the tap, but they get it at the bottom. But anyway, I digress. You know, the entire planet has worked itself out and knows how to deal with itself. And these arseholes coming out and saying, well, the planet is, because we've had it for 40 years, global warming, carbon, climate change, this, that, the other, we've had every fucking wanker. But the truth of it is, we need at least a certain level of carbon dioxide or whatever it is to let the plants be happy and all the rest of it, right? Just put it as basic as they can. And if you went back in the past, which they've done tests where they've dug through the ice up to 2 miles and they've looked at the different levels of carbon dioxide trapped in the ice, and they realized that it's been a lot worse or a lot more in the past, and there was no problem. So all of this is purely for financial gain.
It's not just that. Also, thinking about these, like, they want to have all electric cars and all that lot. If you're going to, obviously, you know Portsmouth quite well. I'm guessing, obviously, up north is near on the same for the roads. So no matter where you live in the world, in the country, the roads are pretty much similar. So you've got house. If you're parking a car next to your property and you haven't got to drive, you've got to run that cable across the pathway,
which is a trip hazard,
and plug your car up. Now, if you've got a child who's in a wheelchair or buggy, or you've got a disabled person that's in a wheelchair, how the hell are you going to get across the pathway? Because you've got cable.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous.
Trip hazards. Then you've got health and safety kicking off because this country's full of health and safety wannabes.
Well, the thing was to get you into an electric car, right? No, the electric cars won't last very long at all. Then to get you away from your petrol car or your diesel car and get that all scrapped and out of the way, right? But don't forget, the plan is to get you immobile. All right, they want you on public transport. They don't want you owning a vehicle. So,
if we're going to go on public transport, can we get the trains to run more than once every 2 years?
Fucking, I mean, yeah, I've seen. The trains as well down in Pompey, right? You run on electric down there, right? And the rolling stuff.
We don't see one. They never seem to be running. They all seem to be struggling.
It's fucked down there because I remember we used to work, because one of your stations is on a fucking pier, isn't it, more or less, right?
Yeah.
And then when you run back through, and your railway was probably some of the worst in the UK. I don't know why Southeast was where it was, but it was. And clickety click, fucking non-continuous welded rail, third rail, and the rolling stock was 40 years old back then. And it was like, fuck me, these people do put up with it. And you really have got the shitty end of the stick. I don't know if it's improved much now, but I'm going back 10 years or more. But
it's not. Well, like I said, I was going to go on the train the other week. So I was going to go see a mate of mine up north. And I said, I'll get the train. And I already bought my ticket. And it said on there, delays, not working, we're back on strike again. And I had to get a bus from Portsmouth all the way up to Halifax in Yorkshire. And I thought, the train would have been lovely. I'd been on the train, it'd been nice. Coach, what was it? It was like 12 hours later. I was like, it's taking a minute.
And you're sat next to some other fucker. I mean, if you look at your train ticket, it does say, or it did say on certain places, does not guarantee you a seat. Fuck am I buying? But I mean, fuck, the train service is horrendous anyway. But I mean, yeah,
it's mad.
I mean, when you're in a
you've got
15-minute
the train.
city, right? When you're in your 15-minute city, you won't have to travel, will you?
Yeah. But the problem is, though, I mean, you've got the train drivers wanting more money. They will now want 150 a year. And then you've got the poor farmers. I say poor, they're not poor, but you've got the poor farmers, in my opinion, that are losing their land, and it's like, we're losing the land of the country, do the housing and everything else, and we're giving the money to somebody who don't want to do the jobs.
I mean, when we privatised the railway, that was a bad thing, I think, personally, right? But when it was British Rail, can you remember that saying, "We're getting there," right?
Yeah.
What company actually admits that they're doing shit, but they're trying to get a bit better than just being shit, right? Well, it's the same company that flogs its merchandise by a fucking serial rapist, Jimmy Savile. Take the train. I remember that fucking wrong. I saw that cunt on a train, right? And at a young age, I thought, I don't fancy sitting next to that fucking freak. Does anybody remember watching Top of the Pops and that poor girl going like that as he stuck his hand up her bloody front? Dirty bastard. But yeah,
It's a bit like Johnny Westwood. But anyway, that's another one.
The only person I know Westwood was that DJ. Do you remember him? Westwood, Big Things. That fucking Egypt.
Well, you know Portsmouth quite well. Do you remember I know you don't do football, but there's a guy that wears a big Portsmouth hat, dresses up, tattooed now all over.
My cousins probably would do, but yeah, I mean,
just Google Johnny Westwood. He even named himself. He's on his actual passport now. He's Johnny Westwood, Portsmouth Football Club. His actual proper name is all of it. So when his children, obviously I'm going back a lot of years, his children now must be in their 40s.
Yeah.
So his children, when they was at school, they wrote their names on their books and stuff, like, paperwork. And the teacher said, you've got to put your real name on it. And the girl went, this is my real name. And she went, right, and the teacher went, right, you're on detention. And he's like, but why? Like, it's my name. No, it's not. You're winding me up. So Dad, John, had to legally or physically go into the school and prove with paperwork this is actually her name. I've changed my name by default.
Have it?
It's like, Jesus Christ. Then the teacher had to apologise.
So
it was just like...
I'm going to ask you a totally different question. Are the pyramids still there? Because I used to swim down there in the 80s.
One is, the other one's basically... It's not been taken down, but they've basically put ribbon across it, like, so you can't go on it.
We used to go down there and
they're more worried about you.
Swim with my cousin, have a right crack down there in the 80s.
Yeah,
and obviously it was a skate park, wasn't
it? But yeah, that's still there, but they've updated that. That's on the common. And
I remember the unfair down the end. You had a fair, didn't you?
Yes, yeah, that's still there. But again, but that's tourist. That's so expensive now. It used to be cheap. But it's like everything. It's just gone up in price, and yeah, I wouldn't want to go on it. I'd dread to think what it's like now. I would have done their checks, but
do you remember
you can hear it rattling, and you're like, oh,
yeah, fuck that shit. Do you remember the battlements? My old man used to dive off the battlements for money. They put a cap out, right, get the money out. They can't do that now, but
it's like a lot of the pubs around here. You remember the pubs?
I remember going in one not knowing. Pub. I went in one of the firm's pubs, right, and I'm in there, and I'll go on.
Nowadays, you can walk from one pub. You can go on a stag do or hen do or whatever. You can walk from one pub. Used to be walk to one pub, still hammered, and walk to another one. Now you walk to one pub to the other, you're sober again.
That's shit. The old days, just fall out of one door into the next, couldn't you? Like, off you go. Yes. Speaking
like every two steps, when you're another boozer. Now it's 50, 60 years. Like, geez, where the pub's gone?
I went in the 90s.
And you say it's people, and they're like, "Oh, you're really old." It's like, I'm 37. I'm not even that old.
Yeah, mate, when I was 16, 17 going in the pubs, I'd look at somebody who was 25 and think the fuckers were old. So sorry, mate. We are old. Oh, fuck.
Bonkers.
I went to this one pub downtown, right? And I phoned my cousin up, and my uncle answered, and he goes, where are you? And I said, I'm sat in this pub. He went, get out now. Apparently it was a really rough pub, but I didn't find him. He was all right with me. Just don't go around screwing anybody out, innit? You know what I mean? Anyway, me old China.
But yeah, carry on doing what you're doing. Because you haven't been on for about 3 weeks, have you?
I've had a break because I couldn't breathe, to be honest. So yeah,
come back on more often. I'm going to try. It's good. Shit.
Well, during the what they call it during January at least, I'm not drinking. So there's nothing to stop me doing it.
Yeah.
Because before I'd have had a few beers and gone, probably had too much to come on, so fuck it. I won't. That was the common sense.
That's fair enough, mate.
But
right, I'm going to jump off, let somebody else jump on. But yeah, have a good one, and hopefully we'll hear from you again soon.
all right, mate, you take it steady. See you in a bit.
All right, and you.
All right, bye.
Bye.
So, fridge and microwave. He's ringing up. Hello, fridge and microwave. How are you?
Hello, mate. Long time no see.
Well, it's getting that way. I had a little bit of a break. What have you been up to?
I've got a part-time security job at Chelsea's training ground, but nothing brilliant, Gov.
Well, it's better fuck all, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, nice to see you, mate. Nice to hear you again.
So what do you reckon what's going on at the moment? I mean, regards to hang on a minute, that one. Peachykins. So do you think that Farage is wrong about Tommy Robinson? Do you think he's right? Do you think that
I support Tommy Robinson. I love him to bits.
Okay.
He really is a good guy.
So do you think Elon Musk has got some minerals to come out and say what he's saying?
Yes, I do. The way it's going with our armed forces, we haven't got an army now. It's just a bag of nuts and bolts.
Well, you know what I mean? With the way they changed the technology of warfare,
yeah,
you know, it's more digital anyway. But I've been looking over the last week, watching videos back to back of the Falklands War after 40 years.
Yeah,
and
the
amount of information that came out, and literally things like the Coventry and the Sheffield were put out in front. Okay. Now they couldn't work. They're out at sea, great, long area for the radar to work to see anything coming in, planes, whatever, and plane come in because they wouldn't release the Exocet until it was about 40 miles away until it could see the target. Now, if you're further away from land, right, at least 40 fucking miles, then you've got a chance of the Seawolf hitting the plane. But anyway, what they did is they moved these ships in closer to land as sacrificial ships so that the carriers could be saved. And people didn't work that out at the time, including at some point the captain. He's saying, look, I need to be further away. And he's like, no, I need you in there. And what it basically was, I need you to take the hit, not the carrier, because we lose the carrier, we lose the war. But when I was looking at a lot of the systems that they sent them out with, which weren't really up to scratch, and when you look at the cuts that John Knott had done, amphibious ships being mothballed, one of the carriers was mothballed, all this money had been taken away. Atlantic, not the Atlantic conveyor.
Yeah.
No, but the Atlantic conveyor was that, and this. There was a ferry that did more work down there, the Nords or something like that. And
yeah, that's true.
The amount of work that did, because it was repatriating stuff, it was taking supplies in. That was put in a position of danger all the fucking time, and it was just really lucky it didn't get taken out. But we were dealing with cuts then, and they've been cutting ever since. And it's all part of us. They were expecting, and when you were listening to them, even in the 80s, our systems were built up to deal with Europe, to deal with the problems in Europe.
Yeah, that is true, Simon.
And it's like they were already planning then for this European army thing. So this is why we've been winding down our armed forces, because the theory were we'd hand our sovereignty over to Europe. Our little part of the army would join everybody else's little part of the army and make up a big army. What better idea, in their ideas, would there be than that? But as we fucked up their plan by leaving the European Union in name only, then this is why we still have a lot to do with those armies because of NATO and our obligation to NATO. But also, I mean, we've left, I think, in name only. But this is why people are going, well, we've only got a small army. But the way that we fight wars nowadays is not massive amounts of human beings on the floor killing each other.
I had some bad news over Christmas.
Go on.
I lost my brother.
Ah, right. That's bad. Was it expected?
No, he's a veteran. He's a veteran.
All right. Well, I'm taking it that it wasn't expected, or was he getting
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't expected at all, Simon. You know, 63 years old, real pioneer, a dog handler. Went to his funeral on the 30th.
So what caused that then?
And that was it. Raw Pioneer call, Raw Logistics call, mate.
No.
Original?
What caused him? Was it anything
You're
that we can point a finger at, or was it just one of them things?
had a heart attack.
No, I'm not even going to ask. No, I'm not going to ask.
No, don't. No, it's all right, mate. Yeah, it's all right.
No, I'm not going to ask for
all
legal reasons on here. But you probably know.
All I said to Roger was, and Jamie, I hope he's paid his bar bill.
Yeah,
you know,
totally. Right, mate. Look,
yeah,
I'm gonna jump onto the next guest. I've got to get through a bit quicker at the moment because we've got people trying to ring in.
Okay, mate.
But
I'll ring you. I'll ring you next week if you're on.
All right, mate. No worries. You take it steady. All right.
Okay, take care, mate.
See you in a bit. Bye. Chat GPT. If you are the all right. It's, Banksy sent me something, but I don't know what that means about what. So right, let's have a quick look. What do you got? That was Keir Starmer and Reform. That was Keir Starmer again. NHS blasted as migrants jump queue at A&E and receive priority. Who would have seen that coming? 1 minute. Let's just bin that off there. Let's have a little look at that. Right, so that's a GB News thing, actually. So you may well have seen that yourself. Absolutely shocking. NHS blasted as migrants jump queue at A&E and receive priority services. Former Immigration Minister Kevin Foster has launched a scathing attack over the NHS schemes that give priority treatment to undocumented migrants. Speaking of GB News, Foster condemned the practice as absolutely shocking, given the fact they paid fuck all into it, saying it strikes at the core of what we expect from the NHS. Like, yeah. How would they get on if they went into some other country is what I want to know. We all accept that if we show up at A&E, we will be prioritized based on our medical needs, generally speaking. Although there were many of those people that actually wanted to change that going back during the pandemic, scamdemic, saying that anybody that hadn't had the medical intervention should stay outside and die quietly because they're a strain on the NHS. I can remember that. You pointed out, by the way, digressing again, that while it was acceptable for an elderly person struggling to breathe to be seen before someone in their mid-40s who had fallen, immigrant status should not determine priority. This seems to be common sense. I can't argue with this point here. You don't become innately more unwell because you don't have a home office status. This is quite blunt. I like this. This is absolutely bizarre, he added. The scheme known as 987 Inclusion Health University College London, blah, 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 allows undocumented migrants to bypass standard A&E waiting times. Fucking unreal. Good evening. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Hiya. Is this all right with the sound?
Yeah, you're fine, love.
Hiya, Si. Hiya. Yeah, it was just somebody bringing up about the dental treatment, obviously, ex-forces and stuff. But, and it's not about hatred here. My mum and dad died in 2003, so therefore I lost my 2 appointments on NHS. Now, I've worked all my life, lived in this country, paid my mortgage, served in the forces, and then obviously, that's it. My teeth aren't, they're still in my gums, don't get me wrong, but I still miss that 6 month, 8 months sort of treatment. And I think that what annoys me sometimes, we're on the subject here, that's the reason why I jumped on the subject of even legal immigrants. It's nothing, I'm not like, but it annoys me because I've lived in this country and sort of love this country, but I've served it and blah, blah, blah and all this. And so just cost twice, and I've informed them and everything, and now I can't get a bloody dental appointment. I've got mortgage, I've got everything that you could ask for, and yet lo and behold, and it's frustrating. So
I've got to pay for it.
Really is.
You can't get an NHS appointment down here, so I've got one of those. You go to the dentist and they sign you up, and you pay. I think it's £25 a month or whatever it is. Might even be 30. I don't know. And that entitles you to get your teeth cleaned twice a year and have 2 inspections of your teeth. And also, if anything goes wrong, any work.
I remember though, back in the day, you know, you could have, I know things change in life, I know that, because, you know, when you go to the dental, you get dental hygienist, you're lucky if it was once like a year or twice, you know, twice in a couple of years, then it went. But as soon as something happened in my life and you just didn't want to get up, I had time off work. Remember, because I'm still full-time work. It's not I'm a layabout or out like that.
Mm.
And he's just literally, hold on, where's it? Thanks for that. So you try your bloody hardest and stuff like that. And yes, opinions and good on you. And Man Up channel, I have shared it, and I hope you.
Are you watching on the Man Up channel?
Yeah, I'm definitely watching on the Man Up
Because
channel.
I'm running 3 channels at the moment.
I always have, and I always will.
Okay, no worries. What I'd like to have been able to do is get all the conversations, because I can see the comments coming from all the channels. But unfortunately, if you're watching on one channel, you can't see the comments from the other, which is a bit of a bastard. Although I can't see people commenting from Faceache, so that's a bit of a bastard. But yeah, thank you for watching as well. I should say.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to jump off. Thank you
for
letting me have my little say and a little conversation.
All right,
Chat, you've been brilliant as well. Thanks, bye.
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 See you in a bit, mate. Wow. That's one of the things that if I was one of those really useful technological persons, then I could probably get the chats transposed over the top. I think you can if you do it on, what's the name of it? I'll hover over it. It'll tell me StreamYard. That's it. No, not StreamYard. I'm on fucking StreamYard. Oh, one of the editing suites, whatever. The way you used to be able to do it in the old days, but it takes brains, and I'm afraid I don't have that. So apparently, Bootneck's in the chat. Hi, Bootneck. And we've got 1 second. Banksy in the back, possibly waiting to come on. OBS, well done. Hello, how are you doing?
Good evening, Simon. How are you?
Sober, funnily enough. Very, very, very sober.
Bloody hell.
I know.
Not good.
Well, to be honest, it's a lot easier doing this when you're sober. I'll be honest, it really is. But there you are.
Yeah, I can imagine button pressing and stuff. I'd be a nightmare.
I'm not brilliant at it now, to be honest, but they are.
I don't know. You're doing a damn sight better job than I could, love. How do you feel? Do you feel like a little bit of optimism now that Trump has won with such a wide range of backers, as in like RFK and all that? Do you think that might give some of our guys political cover to be able to actually sort some of this country out?
I'm 2 things. It's a good part about being bipolar, I suppose. I have a level of optimism, because you have to, because without optimism, you might as well pack up and fuck off. But I've got what'll be 50 years this year of living on this planet, and I've got a certain level of knowing history, and I'm very skeptical. So I don't let my hopes get up too high, only to have them let down. But it would be nice. I'll say I will be very surprised if anything massive becomes achieved, but I hope it does, is where I am.
Okay, and what do you think on Elon Musk?
He's a globalist.
Because he has shone a light on the grooming gangs, which have been around for as long as I can think of, you know. Tommy Robinson has always screamed it from the rooftops, but it wasn't allowed to be spoken about back then.
Ask yourself this: how many of them have been over and kissed the Wailing Wall? All right. How many of them could have got to a position of wealth and what else should we say? Power that they have without playing the game and knowing what they can and can't do. And then if that's the case, are they playing a part in this elaborate circus? Because I don't think anybody would be allowed to get to the financial state that Trump has, or that Elon Musk has, without first have been rubbing shoulders with all these dodgy cunts for so long and taking loans off them, especially in Trump's case. Trump was about to go under at one point when the Rothschilds dug him out. Now, are they just, are they acting their part for the right?
Sorry?
Are they acting just their part? I mean, think about it, right? Somebody has to play the side of the right whilst people play the side of the left. It can't all be one way, right? There has to be the illusion of democracy, right? Which we have an illusion over here. I mean, you really, well, the way they've sewn up the system, you'll only ever get this party or that party. Both of them serve their leader, which isn't us, by the way, and we get the illusion of democracy, and people are happy with that, right? Which is why, as we were saying earlier on, I'm surprised that people don't actually complain when they don't get given what, you know, they voted for, but this happens every time and they're used to it and they accept it. There has to be the character that says, I stand for this, and there has to be the character that says, I stand for that, because otherwise, if it kept being this character all the time, then you go, hang on a minute, something's up. Is Trump playing a part? And if so, is Elon Musk and Kennedy playing a part? Bearing in mind that Kennedy, his family, were Democrats.
Oh, absolutely. And you see, this is something that I follow quite closely. And Trump did actually approach RFK Jr. to ask him to be his vice president. And he said no, because his wife would divorce him. She's already bad enough that he's mixing with Trump, let alone like she's mad that he's agreeing with him, let alone being his VP. But then, like, he tried his own run as to become president, and the Democrats blocked him.
I mean,
and I think
you don't want
that all of them came together, and Tulsi Gabbard as well. She is very, very. She used to be a Democrat.
She's fit as fuck. Anyway.
And hey, look, I can't comment on that, but she is.
She is gorgeous. Having said that, right, you do not want the Kennedys too close, right? There is a curse on those poor bastards, right?
Oh,
I mean,
no.
You look at how many of them have been taken out, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, everyone that looked like they were going to get somewhere. So you had JFK taken out by who? Well, that's a story that we haven't had an answer. But he had.
Yeah, let's hope Trump lets all the secrets out this time.
Well, he didn't the last time, so don't expect too much, right? Most of it's been it's been shredded and redacted, so I wouldn't expect a huge amount. But just to think about this: who wanted Kennedy dead? The mob?
Oh, the CIA.
The FBI, the oil barons, all right, the banking system.
His VP, the vice president, because he had a completely different agenda.
Well, it's not just that, because the vice president had something to do with people being killed, and it was all about to come on top. Unless he became the chief, then basically he would have gone down. It was all going to come out. So there was another thing, but there were so many people that wanted him dead. Right, that it was like take your pick. But anyway, so a few years later, Robert Kennedy comes along and he says, "I'm going to stand for all the same things, and I'm going to stop the Vietnam War." No, you're not. It's Sirhan Sirhan. Sirhan Sirhan was a puppet. He was MK Ultra, which we talked a little bit about last stream. So
that is mad. The MK Ultra. That is some mad shit.
And then you get his brother, right? He's then nailing his female member of whatever it was, and he rolls his car off some bridge in Chappaquiddick, gets out of it, leaves her dying in the car, and fucks off. That was his. Any chance of him becoming a president of the United States was finished there and then. So fast forward to the 90s, Robert or JFK Jr., handsome, bright, intelligent, all the women fancied him, right? Very, very well spoken. Everybody loved him. Plane falls out of the sky. So that's that one dealt with. Okay. And now you've got Robert Kennedy Jr., who he's something to do with health, isn't he? Which when you look at him, he's well built, but I don't know what the fuck's wrong with his voice.
He's hell-bent on reforming, like he's going after Big Pharma.
Well, he did say he'd help make healthy food cheaper, didn't he?
Yeah, and he's going after Big Pharma because of all of the crap that they put into food.
Yeah, right.
He's going after them for it. He said, like, basically he wants to get his nation healthy again instead of being fat, overweight Americans.
Well, we used to poke the fun out of the Americans back in the 90s or the 80s, saying, look at these fat fuckers, right? And then it happened to us.
Yeah, now look at us.
Yeah. I saw a meme the other day, and there's two fat bastards sat down in McDonald's eating all of that crap, and the rats eat the poison and it kills them. And you're like, and I'm like, I remember the first time I had a McDonald's, I had a Big Mac and I was about 12, all right, 11, 12. And I ate this thing and I thought, that doesn't taste like real food. I like the taste, but it doesn't taste like real food. And I thought to myself, is this what these people go mad over? And I was like, you remember when you had the fries and you're like, where's the fucking rest? Right? Because I was used to fish and chips in England where you got a decent load of chips and some fucking salt and vinegar on it, and it was something to eat. I was thinking, how did they make a fucking chip that small, and what's the point? I mean, really? You can't make a fucking a chip sandwich out of that shit. I mean, it's like, I've ate crisps that were bigger. Anybody remember them fucking salt and vinegar bastards, you know, the ones? And they were bigger than the fries. And I was like, this is bollocks. But, and when you went in there and you could smell it, the oil and all the rest of it, and you thought to yourself, this can't be good. But I was looking at, the oil that we've been cooking our food in. I was looking the other day into this, right? And originally, apparently, the product was designed they wanted to make the animals fatter, quicker, right? You know, because obviously you sell by weight, don't you, right? So they were. So they were adding this shit to the food. And quickly, these animals put on weight. And they thought, fuck me, this is working. So they went ahead with it and started to grow this shit. And they were going to seed oil, there you go. So they were going to make a big farming push about this and all the rest of it. So off they went. And all of a sudden, these animals started dropping down dead. And they were like, what the fuck? And basically, it killed them because of all the crap in it. It's poisonous. So what are we going to do about this? That's all right. We'll put it in fucking humans' food. We'll make them cook in it. That'll be fine. Nobody will say fuck all. And I used to wonder, right, that why me and my daughter, we're very similar, strangely enough. And we got to the point that if I use this sunflower oil or vegetable or whatever it was, I'd do that, make the fucking the roast potatoes. And if I swamped it in it, right, we'd all end up with bad guts, right? And I was like, so I thought, fuck it. So now all I do is I part boil them and then I spray them with this stuff just lightly, and it's not so bad. But this food that we've been given over the last 40 years is fucking lethal, absolutely lethal.
It is, and you see, I'm a tad bit older than you, so I get where you're coming from of how things have changed, but. You know, are we gonna completely lose this country?
We lost it, I think, at the moment.
Have we lost it, or can we pull it back?
Well, the only way that you'll ever regain it is through violence, because nobody's going to give it back. And I don't like violence, and nobody wants violence. I have to make that clear, right? I don't like it, but nobody ever gave anything back. It's like when the government takes more rights off you, they don't give it back after the thing has happened. They keep it. Another thing, right? I don't know if any of you have done this, right? That I decided that what I'd start doing is eating a bit healthily, right? So I started cutting things out slowly. So years ago, I cut out Coca-Cola, and I stopped eating chocolate on a regular basis. Then I stopped eating other bits and bobs, and a lot of what I call prefabricated food because it's processed and I couldn't remember the name. So I call it prefabricated. Yeah. But anyway, I stopped eating a lot of processed food, and I was eating vegetables, and I was getting meat from the butchers, and I was making stuff a bit more like that. And I've got to a stage now where now if I have bread or butter, at the end of the night I feel sick. If I have chocolates and stuff like that, too close to bedtime, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and try to be sick. Right. Same with sweets, trifles, puddings, that kind of stuff. Right. And now I've got to a stage because I've been away from that horrible poisonous shit for so long that when I do eat it now, the body goes, you can fuck off. I'm not having that. So, So yeah. And eating meat, right? I think it's funny when people go, oh, you shouldn't eat meat. The meat's good for you. But the only problem we've got is they're now making it law that these animals have to be numerous amount of injections into them. So if they can't get you, they'll get your food source, which pisses me off.
Yeah, because I've got to admit, I'm very much a steak girl. I like my steak, you know, and it's one of the best meats ever, and beef and that. It's you know, you can't beat it, and I'm never going to become vegetarian. Ever.
No, you should have your meat. It's good for you. I mean, now I like a roast, but I can't make my mind up which one I like. I like beef, gammon, ham. Well, gammon is ham, turkey, I should say. Chicken. The only one I don't eat very much of is lamb. But it is what it is.
Lamb can be quite fatty.
Yes. That's the thing.
Yeah. Right, yes. I'm going to get off and let some of your other callers
No worries, lovely.
It was really good to catch up. Happy New Year to you and all your listeners. And I'll catch up soon.
All right, love. Happy New Year to you as well, all right?
Cheers, my lovely. Take care.
See you later. Bye. It's nice, isn't it? How are we doing? I'm going to get Banksy on in a minute. Catch up with him, see what he's been up to, what he knows. I've said to Banksy, when get through a few phone calls and we'll get him on. Good evening.
Good evening, Simon. It's the weatherman again. Remember me, don't you?
Aye. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, mate.
What do you know?
Just a quick one. I wanted to tell you, I'm 54. I'm 55 this year, right? And I wanted to draw my pension down.
Right.
I had a good pension. And 2 years ago, I had a transfer value, right? And in November, I had another transfer value. It's gone down £84,000.
Your
84k. It's gone down.
Your pension has lost 84k.
84k.
Fuck, man.
In just over 2 years.
Now I don't understand much about pensions, but how did that happen? Exactly.
Well, you fucking tell me. Sorry for swearing, Simon.
No, you crack on, mate.
I've been dipping into personal pensions.
Well, they've been saying that they've been spending people's pension money, they've been using it for other things.
Yep.
But I truly believe that when it comes to my turn, there won't be no pension for me anyway.
Well, this is it. This is what I'm saying to people. You need to check what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's for Black Horse. I don't know whether I'm to say that allegedly, but it's pissed me off a little bit. But whatever's in there when I come to 55 and taking out, because I'm not leaving a penny in there for them to take.
Well, as I say, I don't understand much about the pensions. Well, I wouldn't know where to invest it otherwise. But yeah, the theory is they take the money, they invest it, and they hope that it makes a load of money so that they can pay the pensions. But apparently, they've invested it badly, lost a fuckload of money, and they've got to try and find the shortfall some way. Otherwise, well, you just don't get it.
Fucking GB Energy or something like that.
But that's why they're raising. That's why they're raising the pension. When we can retire, because A, we're living longer, and B, fuck it, we want to try and work you as close to your death as possible, so we pay you as little as possible.
Well, in September, Simon, my dad's 84 years old. Right, in September, he retired years ago. He had a really good pension. He had a good job. Worked at ICI. He had a tax bill for the first time in his life. He had a tax bill.
Yeah, Thanks for your fucking input. We want some more. It's amazing, isn't it, that you'll pay tax on what you earn, tax then on what you pay. You have to buy something, you pay tax on that. And then if you want to give it to your family, you've got to pay tax again. It's theft, isn't it? There's no other word for it. It's just fucking robbery.
It's bollocks. I say to people, what do you pay tax on your wages for? And they say, well, we need to pay for the roads. And I say, you pay that on your car tax. You need to pay for the bins. You pay that on your council tax. We need to pay for this, but you pay that or that. You got value-added tax when you go shopping, for your food. It's just a fucking scam.
And so many
and you
of
get
these...
your council tax bill on fucking April the 1st, which is April Fool's Day. It's a massive scam.
Well, I know somebody that doesn't pay his council tax, and he just says, well, fuck you. What are you going to do? And they can't. They just don't do anything. He said, I haven't signed into any agreement with you. Get fucked. But I pay mine, and people go, why are you doing that? Simple. I live in a rented property where the landlady wouldn't appreciate that. So
no, you got to protect yourself.
There's certain things that I have to do to remain so that I could do this, so that I can, have a roof over my head. Because, I live alone, and I've noticed lately that money is one of those things that you're like, do I put the heating on? Do I not? And I'm thinking, if I'm thinking that, what's the old dear like with the pension that won't go fuck all, won't do anything? It's so wrong. And yet, scum coming into the country, scum, right?
Oh,
brand new this, brand new that, fucking spending money, 4 5-star hotel, fuck off. And
where I live, Simon, my local hotel, you can't book a room, right? It's all booked up fully. And I've been told they're putting them in there, and they are putting them in there. But if you go on the hotel website, they're still taking bookings for weddings. And I'm thinking, who the fuck wants a wedding in there?
Can you imagine? Yeah. You've got a white family, right, that just got married.
Exactly.
Right? They're very conservative, very shy, and they walk through this fucking center of Beirut, fucking whatever you want to call it, Kazakhstan. Ah, fuck that. And they've got some young bridesmaids. Oh my god, fuck that!
Oh,
it's not even worth thinking about.
I was thinking more about the fucking kids.
Yeah, well, yes.
This shit that's going on the news now. They run the fucking world, don't they? These fucking people.
They run the oil.
These peddlers run the fucking world.
Yeah, they do. I mean, anybody in position of power has done some really degenerate stuff to kids anyway. That's all part of the...
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say. You don't get into a position of power until you've either had somebody show you pictures of you with a kid or with or whatever it is. They've got to show you that if you fucking step outside of the line, we'll ruin you. But if you do the right thing, we'll make you minted. So you sold your soul. Do I want to carry on? Right? If you carry on, you can't be a force for good and you've sold your soul. If you fuck it off, you get nowhere in life, you keep your soul intact. There are many people that have jumped on doing this, right, that have been approached. And it'll be, if you actually want to go anywhere in this industry, right, you will be controlled by us, all right? You won't talk about this, and this, but you will push this. You can slate Islam as much as possible, because we like that, okay? And you can point this out, but you don't ever point out or start talking about things like the banking system, okay? Who controls the American policy for war, all right? Or even that of us. And you can't talk about certain colored hats, right? You just don't talk about that. And as long as you don't, you'll be all right. You know what I mean? And these people have approached everybody, and I'm pretty sure that the bloke that came to speak to me, although he was he wasn't of that persuasion, I'm fairly sure that he had something to do with it, and they were testing the water to see whether I could report, and I wasn't. But I'll never go anywhere for that reason. Well, I'm not the most professional fucking outfit, I'll be honest. And these other people are a lot more professional.
Well, at least you're honest, Simon. You know what I mean? And you say as it is.
Yeah, well, it's one of those, isn't it? You got to be able to look at yourself in the mirror in the morning and go, "Oh, I'm all right with me." If nobody else is, I'm all right with me.
Oh, you're fucking honest. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Do you not think? I've seen something before about this this English guy that's died in that attack in America.
What, the one that's related to the people that used to look after?
There's something going on with that.
Well, I had a friend ask me about that. Now, apparently, the guy that got mowed down, that was in New Orleans, is an English person, and he was the child. No, it wasn't on air, right? He was the child of or the son of the one of the nannies that used to look after some royalty, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you think about it, is it 6 degrees or 7 degrees of separation between that? I'm connected to anybody around the world. So it's not out the realms of thinking that actually this kiddie could have been on holiday in New Orleans on New Year's Eve and got hit. It's not out the realms. I mean, what we got to do is we've got to accept this conspiracy is a massive thing, but don't start falling into the realms that everything is. Always question it, and there could be something in it. Or I'm not saying there's not.
Yeah, do a question. Everything's
everything. I mean, you know, it's one of those things that the sun came out this morning. Good. That's about the only thing we can rely on, right? The sun goes to bed and wakes up in the morning, right? And that's it. Anything else is due for questions. You know, change of policy. Whose interest is that in? Somebody's going to threaten us with war. Is that the case, or have we already gone into their country and done all sorts of stuff and they're just fighting back? This is it. I mean, I when I started looking into the history of America and the CIA, right, I was amazed to find out just how much trouble they'd caused all around the world in other people's countries, and how much other people's countries didn't actually fight back because America was such a force. But how they could, and there's a documentary out at the moment about, and I think I spoke about it on the last live stream, how the CIA wanted to topple Gaddafi for 30 years. Now, I remember watching the news over here, and he was referred to the mad dog of the Middle East.
Yeah.
But he could keep his people in line, right? Not just that.
Yeah.
Why is it our politicians have to have bulletproof cars, right? They have to have vehicles front and rear, right, who are fully armed, right? They have to have outriders and all the rest of it. Gaddafi could hang out the sunroof of his car, even in later years, and just drive around the streets with no problem.
Yes. My wife says to me today, look, Elon Musk, he's rented a house out of Mar-a-Lago. I said, that's because Trump's got all the fucking protection around him.
Exactly. Basically.
He's protected now.
I mean, it's one of those things that they're going to be, they have to stir more left, right drama, more trouble. So it's one of those things that, you know, taking a pot shot at Trump would have stirred up civil unrest, which is what they want. But they're all playing their part. You know, I mean, you just got to sit back and go, would they actually be allowed to do this if they weren't actually on a script? I mean, do you remember that guy who used to come out and talk to us about the pandemic and the vaccines and all the rest of it? And they made a spitting image thing of him where his head used to go in and out and pretended, which was funny. I did like that part. As for the hive and all that kind of stuff. Well, anyway, he went out there and said, all these meetings were already scripted. We literally read off a script. And the answers to what was going on was already decided. And that the Prime Minister doesn't have anywhere near the amount of power you think. Well, a good example of that be you're watching an old man trip up and down stairs, shit himself, shake hands with people that aren't there, fall over and mutter and fuck, and yet he's part of the biggest or running the biggest superpower in the world. Fuck, it's bullshit, right?
Like I probably said before to you, Simon, I speak to a funeral director, and he was one of these people that went on the meetings with these people at the start of all this. And the guy that was holding the meetings actually resigned now. He's left. And he was actually the guy that got rid of the prime ministers. That's all I'm going to say. And he actually, this guy told me what was said in these meetings. And this is what turned me against what's going on in the country.
But this backs up what I've been saying. We have an illusion of democracy, right? There's the two-party fiasco, the bullshit that's played out, right, in the House of Commons, right? Now, in the old days, there was just there was no cameras. It was just you would hear it, right? But now they've decided they'll put cameras in there, and they don't mind this because they are narcissistic. They want to be seen, right? But as soon as they go out and they're around the back and there's no cameras, they're all having a drink together, having a crack, and all the rest of it, you know. They will meet and at parties and laugh amongst themselves. I mean, do you remember the pandemic? They're all 2 meters apart. And then as soon as the cameras they thought were off, they're all cuddling each other. The masks are off. So we knew all that was bullshit, right?
Yeah.
But the question that we're not asking, that we should be asking is, if our government don't run our ship, who is?
Exactly. Well, you learn about cameras there, Simon. Where I live in my town, there seems to be some very, very strange roadworks going on. And they all seem to be on the roads where you leave the town.
They're running at the
if
moment.
You know what I mean? They're doing something, and they're putting cables in for something.
Right, they're running in a new internet system, right?
Well,
this new thing coming out, nobody wants, by the way. We've all said fuck off, and but they've just run it all the way through here, and well, that's what I've been told. But
yeah,
you don't know, do you? I mean, we don't know. But,
no,
but yeah,
we don't know what they're doing.
I wonder, right? I wonder if our government, right, is just a puppet, right, as is, and I'm going to go and say this, every European government, right, and then we'll say Canada, Australia, New Zealand, America, right, and a few others, South Africa, etc. And if all of this is decided, all right, is all of this stuff decided at that place happens?
Davos.
Yeah, exactly that.
Davos,
is the broad strokes for the next year laid out at Davos, where everybody goes, this is what your part is to play. This is what your part is to play. Okay.
Well, it looks that way, doesn't it?
Now, another thing is, I don't know if you noticed that during, say, for instance, the last pandemic, one country would come up with one policy and a way of controlling the people. Another country would try something else, and another one would try something else. And it's my view that what happens is they work out which one worked more successfully. They take that idea and they use it and run that for the next one. Now, something I was going to get onto the subject of at the moment, I was watching a bit of TV earlier on, and there was an Indian woman, right, from an Indian network, right, and they're all scorning at China because the Chinese hospitals are ram-packed full of people who have got the latest bug, which is just like they're trying to push this as the next pandemic.
Yes, more bullshit.
Now, I don't know about you. Yes, there has been something go around that was quite rough, but we get that every winter. We usually did, right? And what this woman was trying to say is this is just like the last pandemic, but it's like the flu. But it's not like the flu because it goes after young kids. Sorry, kids get the flu as well, right? And what she was trying to do, she was literally telling us what we already suspected, that this is a winter cold or a winter flu or whatever, but still trying to make it sound like the next best thing or the next terrible thing, and that China are holding back all the information on this. And when you looked at the video footage, it was just people sat there like this. Kids just sat there, just sat in a fucking room. They're trying to push the next thing. But at the moment, we've got over here, the North Echo. Occupied hospital beds triple across Northeast amid rapid flu. So people got the flu. You know? Yeah. People get this shit.
But you know what, though, Simon? What happened to fucking flu when we had COVID? It shit itself, didn't it?
Oh, no, didn't you know? It got 2 years off.
Not coming out.
It got 2 years off. You got told to go fuck off on holiday. You don't
need it. It shit itself, didn't it? When I'm not coming off fighting COVID, I'm going to hide.
Yeah, no, I'm leaving it. No, the very fact that actually, I don't give a fuck anymore. The very fact that
I know
that the flu was put down as being COVID, that the cold was put down as being COVID, and the tests that they have for it were completely fucking useless because the man who made them said they're no good for that. And then we all got told that we had to take this thing that actually wouldn't fix it, wouldn't stop it, wouldn't help us. But if you don't take it, you know, it's like, fuck off, mate. Do you know what?
I'm just still fucking pushing it now. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and I've got mates that I don't want to talk to you about it. I'm like, why?
I know what you're saying, Sam, and I've got mates as well. And I fell out with fucking family and friends over this.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't want to go down there. All I wanted to talk to you about would be pension and the fucking economy and what's going on. As far as I can see, they're just collapsing. They're collapsing our economy.
That's the whole purpose.
They're saying there's a £22 billion black hole, but they're spending, was it £8 million a day on fucking people coming over on the sea? And they're spending this, and they won't look after the pensioners because they're useless eaters that are paid into the system all their lives.
I was watching.
It's fucking terrible.
I was watching the national debt went down by X amount of trillion a while back. And the guy was going to tell me why, right? I to be honest, I can't be fucked to watch it because the whole point of the system is nationwide, worldwide. They have to collapse the economies so they can give us a one economy, which would make life so much easier. Also, if there is this one economy, then you won't get countries like Libya or Iraq or whatever, which at the moment are trading in some different thing other than the petrodollar.
This gold, it's gold back onto it.
The gold standard.
Yeah, what's it called? I can't remember. It's called.
BRICS.
The BRICS nations.
Yeah. So obviously Russia came up with this idea, and that's why they're heavily going after Russia and trying to fuck them up. But there's a load of countries that said, well, why are we having some other country that's nowhere near us making all the money out of our deals? Let's cut them out.
Yeah.
And that was unacceptable. So if they collapse all these economies around the world and then make everybody trade in the same thing, they've got more control over everybody, and it's better for them. But also because they got greedy and they wanted to take too much out of all of these countries, that they've fucked the system up. So they have to find a way of controlling the next system.
But Simon, if all these countries are in debt, who lends them the money?
Jewish banking, private Jewish banking.
It's all fucking. We'll just print this. We'll print that. We'll print this.
Well,
just a fucking scam.
This is it, right? So, say for instance, the government or the banks print money. That's called quantitative easing, right?
Yeah.
If a company makes up money, it's called cooking the books. If you make money, it's called counterfeiting, right? So the only people that are allowed to make money are the people that control the system. But every time they go and chuck a load of money into the system, right, there's only a certain amount of gold that backs up that money, in theory, right? So every time they do it, it reduces the pound in your pocket. And they've been doing this ever since, which is why people ask the question, why is it my dad could afford a house, a car, the missus, and all the rest of it, and now I can't afford fuck all? But it is what it is. So all of these people around the world are in debt to private banking. Who owns the private banks? Right? Who owns BlackRock? You know, and
I'm not 100% certain, but a lot of fiddly money gone into the.
Well, there are certain measurements that own them, right? But you look into it. Who is everybody in debt to? It's private banking. It's stuff like you know, the what they call it, the Federal Reserve, right? It's not actually federal; it's a private bank, right? And everybody thinks it's owned by the Americans, right? The American government, but it's not. It's not at all. So, you know, everybody was putting their money in trading through the Federal Reserve, which they thought was obviously owned by America. So we went and put a load of gold in there, and the French put a load of gold in, the Germans did, and all the rest of it back in the day. And
fucking Gordon Brown sold all our gold, didn't he?
Yeah, the cheapest, and he got sorted out right for that. But
you're on about money laundering. All that's in my town now is bloody Turkish barbers, kebab shops, and charity shops.
What do you think foreign aid is? That's money laundering.
And when you go behind the back of the Turkish, when you see the Turkish barbers all lit up with all the gold furniture, all bright and all clean, there's no one in there. You drive around the back and you look at the Mercedes Benz and the BMWs they've got, and you're thinking, "Fuck me, what's going on?" And when you look into it, they pay the tax, they pay the rent, they pay everything. And so the council and the government are all happy. But what's going on in the background?
Who are the biggest drug dealers? I'll tell you what, why is there a shortage of drugs during Ramadan? Ask yourself that.
Exactly. And do you know what as well, Simon? There's a kebab shop near mine. And, well, about a couple of miles away, and there's a traffic lights outside. And I pulled up there the other week, and the kids had come out of school. I was going to pick my daughter up from school. And they got tables set up inside. And there was loads of kids in there eating, and all the Muslims around them. I'm like, fucking hell.
Groom the fuck
I shouldn't
out
have
of them.
said that, really.
Well, no, because it's a fact. I mean, if the fact these kids are there, right, and there's a load of fucking, and they're young girls and that, and there's a load of fucking hairy ass wankers that trying to fucking slime into them, right? If it was a white man, right, or a white chip shop with a bunch of questionable men in it who were trying to get into a load of kids, you'd lose your fucking shit. But we've been programmed not to say anything. I don't give a fuck. I'll just say it anyway.
I don't give a fuck either, mate.
Well,
good job it wasn't my child.
You got to make sure that when you're saying something, it's provable, or that, you know, it's facts, right? I mean, if you went around and said something that hasn't been historically, you know, and isn't going on all the time. I mean, if you think to yourself, why is it that these places like the car washes, why is it that these the nail barbers or the nail shops or the barbers and all the rest, why they all take cash? It's because they're laundering, right?
Do you know another thing, Simon? I've got where I live, not far from mine again, another couple of miles away. It's a local gypsy site, right?
Yeah.
And I've always got on with them. I'm 54 years old. I say, yeah, I'm not asked. I've got on with them always from when I was a child. We used to fight with them, right? We ended up getting on with them and all the parents and all the kids. And every time we get a bit of scrap or an old car battery, I take it down for them. No one give it to them. It keeps them happy if you want anything doing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Anything moving with one of the vans or...
Yeah.
And I was talking to one of them. It was, when was it? October time.
Mm-hmm.
And I told my mate this, the funeral director, and he put something on Twitter about it. And I was talking to him. I said, yeah, and he shouted his son over. And his son said to me where he worked. Now, it's the migrant hotel. Not far from, it's in another town.
Yeah.
But it's not far from mine. And he told me there was 2 rooms locked downstairs, and he told me what he's seen in the rooms.
Let me guess.
I don't know whether I can say this on it.
All right, we'll use the word hardware.
Yes.
That's a thing that's been accused of a lot of these places having hardware. Because,
yes, and he told me, and I said to him, because they're not stupid in a way. It's like they don't know what's going on, if you know what I mean. They haven't got a clue. All they're bothered about is making money. So I asked him to get some pictures. And he says to me, why do I want to get pictures? I'll lose my job. So I've left it with him. But this was September time he told me this.
1 second, I'm just reading something. Yeah. The thing is, there will be a lot of people that will also embezzle on stories as well. All right, and then we'll make stuff up. So you've got to worry about it.
Do you know what, Simon? I trust these people. They're not going to lie to me. They don't know what I talk about because I don't speak about anything to them because they've lost a lot of family over the last couple of months, if you know what I mean. So I don't speak about anything. I just keep them happy with a little bit of scrap, have a good chat, have a go down, have a coffee. You know what I mean? And when he told me that, I was like, all right, okay. And I just played stupid to it.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, what I'm going to do is probably get old Banksy on now, Mio. So I will say thanks for ringing in, and you take it steady.
Well, it's nice talking to you, Simon, and I'm glad to see you sober, and I hope you do it every week.
Well, certainly for January. But if it works well during January and I get the hang of it, then I might carry on till February.
I'll do it every week because I like to have a rant.
Yeah.
I get paid off a lot.
No worries, mate. Well, you take it steady. I'll catch you in a bit, all right, bub?
Cheers, man.
Bye,
Bye, mate. Right.
I'm going to send a link either to the banks. Yeah. We haven't had a chat to Banksy for a little while. And yes, we go from there. So I was going to talk about the hospitals, but I've touched base on that. Oh, Home Secretary defends Jess Phillip after Elon Musk criticised her. Beautiful. Have a look at that. Jess Phillips implied it would be better for the local council to lead an investigation into the grooming gang scandal. Yeah, we've already touched base on that when the locals actually investigate their own shit, it's a bit like when the police, ombudsman or whatever they call it, investigate themselves. You don't usually get the result that you're hoping for. Jess Fishlips, she is a violently horrible creature. You can see the anger and the hatred coming out of her when she talks. Yeah, I remember what Sargon said to her. Fucking hell, that didn't go well, did it? So apparently, while I'm waiting for Banksy to pop in, and he might not yet, he might bug it off yet, I don't know. Starmer issued, fuck off. Right. Starmer issued wake up calls. An extraordinary new poll shows PM hemorrhaging seats to reform. There's a shock. Two-tier Kia has been dealt. Hang on a minute. 1 second. Hang on. Somebody's messaged me. 1 minute. That's all that. On my way. Right. Cool. So Banksy's on his way. Starmer has been dealt a little poll blow of his barely 6-month-old tenure as Prime Minister after an extraordinary new survey has projected Labour to lose its majority while Reform makes massive gains. And here he is. How's it going?
Hello. Happy New Year, my good sir. I was about to say Merry Christmas.
And you? Hang on a minute. I remember, where is it?
The boudoir.
Oh, Doctor. Yeah. I'll have to wait to get Bill Marshall back before we go down that road. Anyway, so did you have a good Christmas?
Yes, unlike you, I am on the sauce. This particular, I'm enjoying a White Russian. Although I would prefer if I actually had a White Russian, a blonde. But
yeah. Especially blue eyes, very, very nice accent. Yes. So, well, where do we start? What are you thinking at the moment? I mean, it's an interesting time to be watching politics, isn't it?
Oh yes, oh yeah. I mean, and things are going to get heated in the next 16 days. And I mean, I would be shocked if they won't attempt another pew pew against.
I was thinking to myself that they won't take him changing everything that they've worked really hard to fuck up. So yeah, what is the course? I mean, will there be another bloke on a roof or whatever? Or
yeah, I mean, the thing is, I can see that becoming essentially a part of Trump's presidency. It's just this like series of pew pews and things. But the other thing is that you do know that he's due to go to court on the 10th to be sentenced for that trumped up, ironically, trumped up 34 charges.
Yeah, which would be interesting because what if they find him guilty? How does that work?
Well, no, they've already found him guilty. They haven't sentenced him.
I mean, so what could they sentence him with?
Potentially 4 years, but then he'll immediately, on the 20th, pardon himself.
Legendary.
Which is like insane.
Yeah. I mean, fucking hell.
Well, you would think maybe Biden out of sort of for the good faith, or I don't know, whatever it is. I mean, he's pardoned like everyone under the sun. Maybe Biden would pardon him preemptively.
Well, tell him to get a crack pipe, and he probably will. You know what I mean?
Get some blow in the White House.
I mean, you remember General Ford pardoned what was his name? Fucking Nixon shortly after, didn't he? But there have been a lot of them that pardoned stuff. I mean, yeah, I can see the next few years being a bit leery. But do you think you'll actually get anything sorted, or do you reckon it's just bread and circus?
I think if he gets 5% of what he wants achieved, that'll be like amazing. The thing is, he has really only, people say he has a 4-year term, but he only really has 2 years to achieve anything. Because he's only got the House for about 2 years. Usually, the next run of elections for the House and Senate, things flip. So he's got 2 years of a clean slate to get things done. If they don't delete him from the planet, he may be able to get some 5%, maybe 10% of what he intends done. If he gets the wall done. If he actually manages to get the wall done, he will win a lot of good faith with the hard, staunch sort of Republicans. Because Ann Coulter, like Ann Coulter went completely off Trump after he didn't do the wall. He couldn't get the wall done, and she's been actually semi-antagonistic towards him, even this time round. And so that kind of
the problem with the infrastructure is you can't just knock up a wall within 2 years. So if he's only got it for the 2 years, he can start. But if the House flip within 2 years and then they go against him, then that's basically he'll get a little bit done, and that'll be that. So,
I mean, the only thing he can do is perhaps pass some kind of a bill which will open the funding for all that to take place. Essentially, get it all up and running. Once he has the funding and he has that opened up, maybe then the project will just simply go through, regardless of what the Senate and Congress, because he's already got the funding passed. They have to then go through all the rigmaroles of democracy, the whole red tape of trying to sort of halt the funding again. Maybe he'll get it done that way. I don't know because, like you said, it's very easy to be blackpilled about all this. It's very easy to be blackpilled about the global scene as it is. Like you just, I've been listening for ages, and you guys were talking about Farage and all of these groups being essentially valve release, really, to take the tension, to take people's pressure, to take the pressure off people who are essentially steaming at home, and they're going to go out into the streets and do some crazy stuff like Southport. So they will throw in these. By the way, my background, I come from Iran. The Iranian regime does this all the time. They lock people down hard. They go hard on the hijab. They go hard on all of these freedoms for a while. And then people get more and more angry. The protests begin. And then they suddenly, hijab. And right now you can Google Iran, like malls, shopping centers. Women are walking around without hijabs. Literally without hijabs. And you would think, like I remember from back when I was a child, they would literally imprison you if you didn't have a headscarf on. Now women are walking around because they want that valve release. They can't. Otherwise, the people, admittedly, the Iranian people are now past the they've gone past a certain point where they just they're not going to take it. They're going to continue protesting.
They've been westernized a bit more, haven't they?
Oh, they've been westernized a lot, but what I mean is they've gone past a precipice in which they will not just simply be happy and be appeased by the valve release. They are now going to keep pressing forward, and pressure from Israel and other things are going to come down on the Iranian regime. So the Iranian regime is under a lot of pressure right now. But what I'm saying is that's what they do in despotic countries, which you can see it. What they do in quote-unquote democratic countries is a much more subtle version of that. And they won't, it's not in your face. Oh, you still have freedom of speech? You still have a freedom of speech, sir. Except, did you offend a Muslim on Twitter, sir? I'm sorry, sir. You may have to serve 4 years in prison for that. But you have freedom of speech. You have freedom of speech if no one listens to you. If you have freedom of speech, if you go into your bedroom, hide under your pillow, and scream, F Islam, you have freedom of speech there. No one will arrest you for that.
Yeah, as long as or nobody took offense, even on somebody else's behalf.
But if one other person heard you say F Islam whilst you're under the duvet, under the pillow, screaming for F Islam, then you may go to prison.
We've got freedom of expression because they changed that, didn't they? We never actually have freedom of speech, which people think we have, but we don't. I mean, America, under their constitution, apparently has freedom of speech, but even there, you can still get nicked if you've caused upset or distress, I think. But over here,
I don't know about upset or distress, because the Supreme Court actually, and in fact Britain has actually done it as well, but it doesn't really matter. They have said that offence is part of your freedom of speech. So you can cause offence, and it's not, it's perfectly fine. But they can, I mean, they will figure out a way, essentially, to do you in if it incites any sort of violence. Or if it is led to,
don't they, on it? But basically, if for some reason they think that you intentionally went out to cause distress, then they'll lam you on that. But you probably remember speaking to your parents before. This is the Ayatollah in Iran, wasn't it, when he got in?
Yeah, Khomeini.
Before that, the government or the leader over there was leaning a little bit more towards communism than he was capitalism, and it was the CIA in there that was helping cause all the trouble to topple him and put the Ayatollah in there. But the women back in the day in Iran were dressed up in like the stuff that we were wearing over here. There's pictures all over the internet, fit as fuck, lovely, walking around, beautiful, miniskirts even and stuff like that. And then Islam got in and really cheered the place up, which is
it was awesome.
But it does that everywhere it goes, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Islam is just cheery and chirpy all the time. It's just so great.
Yeah.
Everywhere it goes, everybody's just happy and glorious.
That's why they want to kill you if you leave, because they're thinking about your happiness, aren't they? At the end, yeah.
Essentially, they want you. They say misery loves company, and Muslims want everyone to be Muslim.
Yeah. We're taking over the world, and we can all be miserable together.
We can all be miserable together. The funny thing is, now this is something that that sort of gives me a little bit of like maybe a glimmer of hope. When you look at Dubai, when you look at what Saudi Arabia is now doing, and I mean Dubai, I had a much bigger pass on Dubai because it was like, okay, it's an Arab Emirates. They've got like these sort of sheikhs who love their Instagram models, so maybe that's why they're a bit more liberal. But Saudi Arabia being the core heart of Islam, essentially where Islam was given birth to,
Right.
I really thought this country is never going to really change. It's going to be hardcore always, and it has surprisingly moved a lot with Mohammed bin Salman. And so if Saudi Arabia can be shifted in that direction, this very, very sort of liberal, if you will, although it always has that Islamic undertone to it, but this outer sort of crust of liberal sort of society, then there is a chance that there is ways to interpret this religion to be better. But it has to always be under a dictatorship. You can't allow it to be in any kind of free, because if Saudi Arabia actually had the people vote how the country goes, it'll be the dark. It'll go right back to the 7th century. It wouldn't. The people don't particularly like this. They are crushed by Mohammed bin Salman to shut up and take it. In fact, Mohammed bin Salman, one of his first acts, I mean, people don't seem to really remember how he paved the way for all of this. He put all the millionaires and billionaires of Saudi Arabia, all those sheikhs and all those Arab moguls, he put them under house arrest. He put them all on the house arrest, gave them a stern talking to. Don't mess around with my plans, or I will have you all. Mohammed Khashoggi, do you remember that guy? They found him in body. His body parts were found in Turkey.
He went against the plan.
He was very critical of the Saudi royal family for a long time, and he also came from high status families himself. He wasn't just some nobody. He was a journalist, but he wasn't some low level nobody. He was actually from the aristocracy, if you will. But he did that. That was a fire across the bow of all the other idiots in Saudi Arabia that may reject his plans.
So how come the extremists haven't come after him and to try and take him out to, go more back to the dark ages? Because
They just don't have that kind of capability. In Saudi Arabia and Emirate nations, they absolutely crush these kind of uprisings now. And this is the Emirate, the Dubai foreign minister. There's a video of him online. You can Google it. He literally said the future Islamists and radicals will come from Western countries. They'll come from European and North American countries because
breed.
Yes, because you guys don't do anything about it. You guys think you know better than us how to deal with our radicals, but you don't. You don't deal with the Islamic radicals.
Didn't he?
Sorry?
Saddam Hussein said, "You're getting rid of me will cause you untold pain." Gaddafi, same fucking thing. Now we all knew that these people have dealt with their own people for years, so they understand. Now, I ain't going to be mean, but there's some countries with a lower IQ that understand pain more than they understand the law, right? So they understand if they fuck up, it'll hurt, right? And, these people come down and they will fucking arm you. So keep your shit together, right?
Precisely.
When you've got a bunch of wimps like this over here, they're like, we do what we like. And also, when you speak to these Arab countries that said, the people you're getting are the people that we don't want. You are getting the worst of the worst. And this is why neighboring countries won't take these allegedly people who are suffered from war, which probably haven't anywhere fucking near it, right? Okay. And so we've got to take them. And it's all part of the plan.
100%. The thing is, it's not even an intentional sending. I mean, apart from the fact that some of them, I'm sure, are intentionally sending their worst over to Europe. But even if they didn't intentionally do it, it is a simple process of people leaving a nation, and over time, you see, in the 70s and 80s, I can again give you the example of Iran. When Iran went in and became an Islamic shithole, all the rich people first left. All the intelligent people then left after that. All the doctors and the scientists and the professors and whatever, because these are the groups, categories that can afford to leave to begin with. They're the ones that have money.
They're trailblazers. They're trying new things. They're breaching out, because they've got to go under their own steam. When you've got an NGO that will fucking help you all the way. So they supply you with money. They give you travel plans. They tell you where to meet, who to meet, and all the rest of it. And every step of the way, you're being supported. Any fucking idiot can do that.
That's the next phase. So when the initial phase of people who were the upper class and the intelligent and the well-to-do people, they all got out because they're like, I can't live under this crap. Then over time, it took a while, but over time, then the low-level people started to venture out as well, because it becomes so insufferable that no one wants to live. But like you said, then we have actual assistance, NGOs and other people who actually will help you come out. So any Tom, Dick and Harry is going to come out. In fact, kids who want to take you know how in Britain, after your A-levels, you take a couple of years and travel the world. Yeah, that's your average Syrian, Iraqi 19-year-old. I'll just go to Europe for a few years, live as a refugee.
We're to Europe. Hey!
Yes, hey! Yalla, mashallah. Let's do the European tour on the taxpayers' bill.
Great, we get women.
They say all the women over there are whores. They just open their legs to you the minute you arrive.
How much? Yeah, I can fucking.
All I need is 2 sheep and 3 chicken for a woman.
Oh dear gosh,
just 3 chicken.
Hey, fuck it, Merry New Year.
I know we're just sort of messing around, but I'm not joking. Some people think the streets of London are paved with gold, and you just pick up money. It just falls from the trees, and you just go around, and the women are just sleep with you on a dime. It's all just open and free.
Our people used to think that. I mean, in the 50s and the 60s, people lived in the country somewhere, right, or right over in Wales or up in Scotland, and they thought we'd go to the bright lights. We've got more chance there, but because my daughter's mother's father moved from Wales, went to London, and he met the wife, right, and then they moved back here. But he thought it was going to be so much better than Wales and all the rest of it, and turned out that it's not the bright. I mean, I used to have this preconception that London was a hip and swinging place, and it was full of all these bright lights and history and all the rest of it. It was going to be welcoming and great. And I went there and I went, fuck, where am I? You know what I mean? You might come in. And it wasn't. I was like, nobody speaks to you. Great. If I drop down of a heart attack now, you had this preconception that maybe they just step over you. It's not the case, but you know,
more or less. There's been people reported, I think it was in New York, a guy died and he was on a train. He died on the train. He was there for like 2 or 3 days before anyone noticed he was dead.
The cleaner left him. Fuck, you'd be all right. Yeah, but it's like the bigger the place, the more they don't notice you. I mean, I watch it here because I was watching one today. I was walking back from the shop, and this lefty kid, and you could see it's middle class, middle upper class, or whatever, and they've got that. They're trying not to smile at you, but they're really awkward, and they just get this peasant away from it. And it's like they just got a way about them. And it's I mean, you get the poor people, then you get the incredibly rich people. Yeah, that's it, right? And there's something in between there that just want to look down at the next class, look up to be in the next class, and look down on the next. I was watching a video today, Michael Caine, back in the, I think, very early 80s, and he was trying to say that the class system over here is really strong, but you don't notice it so much until you go somewhere where it's not the same. And you've got to try and explain the class system over here. But is it anything like the caste system over in India, the class system over here?
Over here, I mean, it's still structured. I mean, I don't think it's as bad or as overt as the caste system, but it is that there is a hierarchy. We all know it. We all know the Etonites and the Oxford types and the East London Pearly types. We all know where we all fit into this hierarchy of this society. We kind of know it. It's not like it's supposed to be that way, you know. But come on, this is why Tommy Robinson gets the kind of flack that he gets, and he knows it, and he points it out. This is because of the way I talk, because of the accent I have, because I'm a working class man from Luton. If I was, an Etonite, if I was, what's his name? The guy who wrote The Strange Death of Europe. Oh my God.
The gay guy.
Sorry?
Yeah. He's gay as well, isn't he? What's his name? I can't remember his fucking name now.
My goodness, I can't believe I just lost his name. I mean, he's
Well, going back to Tommy, right? I mean, the fact that he hailed from Luton and he was part of a firm, right, of football supporters, right, and he used to go out and enjoy kicking fuck out of people on the weekends, which they did, right? It is what it is. And then that's how we managed to get all the football lads together to protest on what was going on. And they formed the EDL, which was the English Defence League, and then shortly after, in Company's House, became the English and Jewish Defence League, but I'm sure that means nothing. All right. It is what it is. And Douglas Murray, thank you very much.
yes.
Douglas Murray, an interesting creature himself, and he's like written a book explaining how it's going to go. There was a guy that wrote a book, and I've talked about it before, that also says what Islam does when it's at 2%, 5%, 10, 15, whatever, how it acts in a host nation. And it's like it's like, you'll see them here. They make less than 0.2%. So they're polite, happy, lovely, nice to you. You go to a place where they're the majority and you got problems. And that's just the way it is. Anyway, I have got to 9:30. I am going to wrap this up. I will be on again, possibly. What's the... Well, it won't be tomorrow night because I'm going to work the day after. Yes, well, I think I am anyway. We've had all Christmas off because all the quarries shut down, so you got fuck all to do. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up now while it's going well, and we've still got 873. And I'll say thank you for coming on, and also we will do this again. But yeah, I shall. We will be doing more. So I'll say thank you to you, and thank you to everybody else that's helping. You over there, you know who you are. All right, and I'll see you soon.